So for the work, welcome. I've been trying to go live for the last hour and a half, and VPN's been stalling out. And I've tried the laptop, I tried the desktop, and I've tried the. I'm not sure if it'll stay connected, but let's give it a go. It might. So that would be refreshing. How are you doing on a Saturday here in China? It is the 17th of September. It's day 51 of the 100-day challenge. Our moon is in Gemini right now. Wow, looks like it's in Gemini for quite a lengthy stretch. 15, 16, 17, and 18, it'll transition into Cancer. So today, all day, we've got a uh, Virgo sun and Gemini moon. That's an interesting combination, huh? The organizer and the eccentric. Is Gemini really the eccentric? Pseudo intellect, split personality. Um, I don't know a lot about Gemini. I've kind of tried to avoid the Gemini conundrum in my life because I've had injurious relationships with Geminis in the past. But I'm not going to hold that against them. It turns out my rising sign is actually Gemini, and no, not my rising, my first house. Gemini is in my first house. So that's something I did not know. And it may be a reason that it's so according to the first house, it's claimed that zodiacally, that's how you want others to perceive you. So for some reason, I guess my outer personality at a superficial level is I'm attempting to act like a Gemini, act like a Gemini, but underneath I'm really a Piscean Scorpio. So that's interesting. It's fun to learn about oneself through one's birth chart. And if you haven't done so, either jump on astrostyle.com or chaosastrologer.com. And Astrostyle has a very simplified one, whereas the other site has a more complex one. Welcome to day 51 of the Magical Challenge, guys. I hope you guys are doing well out in Happy Land. Let's do the update. This is Frank Monday, Sabbath edition, and I was planning on going a couple of hours this morning to chit chat with folks coming to the ideas room. But you know how I am. If there's nobody to bounce ideas off, excuse me, if there's no one to bounce ideas off of, then I'm not going to stay on here that long. So let's wait a few minutes and see if anybody shows up. Today I was going to be covering a basic expose of Donald Michael Craig's Modern Magic. So I really consider it to be a entry level text on basic ceremonial magic and hermetic inquiry into the paranormal and super sensual. And as a result of that, I thought I would go over the contents and talk about it with you guys. Yeah, let's see what we got in here. So if you've ever downloaded or had a look at Modern Magic, it's had several printings, I believe. So Modern Magic, 11 lessons in high magic. I think in its more refined state, it's up to 12 lessons in high magic. Um, it's got a nice, beautiful cover. It's painted with a guy in a what looks to be either a Han period or um, Japanese Shido period type of robe. So something similar to what I'm wearing right now, which is a really good robe style for doing magic because you can open up the chest, and show your amulet. And so that's a preferred robe style for the magician. You notice I'm hanging around in my robe a lot, and I've got some nice robes like this. But honestly, ceremonial garb you're seldom going to use. It's only once you've formed your own study group or magical order that you would actually have the time to do performance, theatrical style um, ceremonies and initiation rites, which I wish I had, honestly. I wish I had a magic circle, but as we know, we're under the dark spell of the dark celestials, right? The bad guys. And so the first thing they did was take a decisive strike at community and our ability to assemble without too much oversight. So you got to be really secretive these days. There's a new esoteric or occult. There's a satanic panic. There's an occult panic, and so they're trying to motivate people against magic users. It says this torrent was a work of love, and all texts gathered, as well as future gatherings, are for interested students and scholars and for occult information. For some of us, the time has come to mobilize. If you have an interest in assisting the process, please contact occultdigitalmobilization.gmail.com. All right. So let's get into the book. Other books by the author are not our concern right now. It says this book is dedicated to all of Frater Craig's. He calls himself, okay, so it's dedicated to all who shared with him, and he can now share with others. These teachers include his parents, Frater AMAG, Soro SIAA. I wonder if I know any of these people. I might. Frater P, Frater DBCF. So I would be Frater FLAOTAP. That would be quite a handle there. You could just call me Frater Aristeus if you're a part of our magical, if you're a part of Poke's magical order, and if not, just call me Frater Francis, Frater Francis Lunas Aristeus. So Frank for short. All right. Um, Good deal. The first edition of this was printed in 1997, and that's when I got my copy of it. So, wow, that was already well into my magical career. I was pretty stoked when this copy came out um, because it seemed so straightforward and simple. And I think the simpler something is, the easier it is to learn from. And, you can never learn from a book. You have to kind of practice. And so I wasn't learning from the book per se. I was reinforcing what I already knew about natural magic. And I had lived growing up in my high school years, junior high and high school, on the exact same street as the Cunningham guy. What was that guy's name? Anyway, he lived right up the street from me. He ended up dying of like AIDS in his 30s, but he was a pretty eloquent writer and he was an artist and he was tapped into the occult community. And everybody kind of knew he was sick. And in fact, even one of his like I don't think he like interacted with women. He was more of like kind of anyway, doesn't matter. One of the girls that spent a lot of time learning with him, she noticed that I was a natural magician. I had gotten a lot of grimoires from the bookstore and other occult bookstores. I spent most of my disposable money on buying books concerning magic and psychology and that type of thing. And she noticed my library, my growing library of books, and she said, "Oh, you might be interested in Wicca." And she was kind of mushroom eating, spelunking, um, hairy armpits and bare feet type of gal. And she hooked me up with a lot of stuff. She was a good source of shamanistic type things. But she brought me a few crystals that she had spelunked out of a cave in San Diego. And I still, to this day, I still have both of them that I know of. I have one here and one back in my home in Tennessee. I don't know what's left in Tennessee. I really want to get home and see what my sister and her daughter have not mm, reappropriated. We'll say I'm not going to get into it. It causes me nothing but vexation to think about that. So, contents. Okay, so what was the point of that story? Oh, Scott Cunningham, that was his name, and he lived right up the street from me. I visited his house a couple of times, but I could tell he was sick, and I was like, Wiccan. wicked magic does this to you, then it's nothing I want any part of. But I ended up reading his books, and his writing was quite plain and forthright, and it seemed all woo woo and happy, flowery, acid head children type thing. And I think he ended up publishing about 15 or 20 books, all very small, all in the range of 150 to 250 pages. I bet his stuff is on Llewellyn, so let me check real quick. But I read all of them, and they were all easy reads, like high school level, written at high school level. Scott Cunningham. Um, but I didn't find anything of usefulness in it really. It was more of a poetic approach, rhyming and writing spells that you encant. And I thought, yeah, that's not really. I mean, that's fun. That's an artistic expression of magic, but it wasn't my cup of tea. I was into astral magic, even that at that point, like around junior high level. I realized the value of keeping dominance over your own mind in opposition to a school curriculum um, that sought to what incense oils and brews. I remember I had that, and I thought, wow, it seems like a lot. Scott Cunningham practiced magic actively for over 20 years. Wow, but he passed from life on March 28th, 1993. So the year after I graduated high school, after a long illness. So yeah, he was alive. I saw him then right there at the end of his life, when he was totally consumed with, I guess what they ended up calling HIV in the end, AIDS. Scott Cunningham practiced magic actively for he's author of more than 50 books. Wow. No, that's not, I don't think entirely accurate. I think most of the books that were published after his death were based on his during his life. It says that Llewellyn published 16 of his titles, and that's what I remember about that. I remember he had about 12 or 15 books at the time when I started buying them, and I bought all of them. They were all pretty thin. Um, it doesn't even give a bibliography for him. Huh? That's weird. So he wrote stuff like The Truth About Witchcraft, and I think he was an anthropologist. Maybe he lived to 40. I don't know. Maybe I should try to wiki him. Um, yeah, since there's nobody here and I'm just doing my thing, I'll go in here and give him a wiki, and then I'll wiki Donald Michael Craig too, because he was more of an influence. And I want to relay to you an aphorism that I learned early on that I think makes sense and applies here, is applicable here. And it's interesting too. My computer's stalling out. Don't know why. It's got some sort of bug. Um, Frater Tomas, who's participating in the 100-day magical challenge, mentioned that he wasn't necessarily interested in getting into reading too many of the books on magic because he knows that there's a lot of trickery in them. And I think that's a sound approach. Just do the magic. You don't need to worry about getting into these guys' heads and their endless human opinions. You need to experience the truth directly for yourself, right? And so Scott Cunningham could be said to have single-handedly created the inspiration for all of those TVs you show, like all the TV dramas based around witchy stuff, and like that entire industry of witchiness. He had a huge hand in bringing that about, and I think that's part of why Llewellyn published so much of his stuff, because it was very attractive to teenage girls, involved in romance and love potions, and it's laughable, really. But he did compile a big a big database on the available knowledge at the time, both oral and what was available through some of the older. Like he did help to bring forward that tradition of rural, um, natural medicinal herbal craft into the modern day. Scott was born in Royal Oak, Michigan, second son of Chess, blah, blah, doesn't matter. Okay, his family moved to San Diego in 1959. So he lived from 56 to 93. That's 4 and 40, 44 and 3, 45. So he lived to 45. That's longer than I thought he lived. If I did my math correctly, pardon me, 4 brings it to 60 and 34. No, 37. I did my math incorrectly. 33 and 4, 37 years old. Yeah, that's what I had remembered. It was like mid 30s, mid to late 30s. Is He was like early 30s when I became associated with one of his girlfriends. I was in junior high, and since we all lived on the same block, she didn't live right there on that block, but she liked to hang out there. She's a good-looking young blonde girl. I think she was getting of college age when I was in high school, and we had some trysts, but she had trysts with quite a few folks because our family home was so big, and we had a swimming pool and lots of land. And there in San Diego, a lot of girls would come over and hang out with me and my brother. It turns out a lot of times they were after my brother because he was a really, tall, handsome go-getter. But they would come over and do magical endeavors with me. Sex magic was a lot of what they were into, which was cool with me, as a teenager. I was down with that. Yeah, so by the time of his death, he had published one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 books. And everything else was published after his death. So it said 50 books. You're just compiling his journals and making them into books. That's not, and a lot of that was purloined manuscripts from other people. So that's not book writing. They give him more credit than he deserves. But he did do a lot of journaling. I mean, he pretty much just sat and journaled most of the time when I had visited his place. And so let me see if I can remember. Yeah, I read all these. Shadow of Love is a fiction novel. I didn't read that, but Magical Urban Herbalism, The Secret Craft of the Wise. So imagine, me from 13 to 17 reading all of these books. Earth Power, Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, and his publications were the type of book you could read in an afternoon. So it's not like it was a big deal. You could sit down for 4 or 5 hours and read through one. And like I said, they were what they were. The Magical Household, Spells and Rituals, Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Crystals, Gems, and Metal Magic. That was the book that young girl had helped him work on. I remember clearly because she brought me a copy of that, and I think that's what launched me to go into the bookstore and buy all the rest of them. And there weren't many; there were a dozen or so, and I bought all of them and put them on my shelf because I was amassing a library. I wanted to have every book I could get my hands on that applied to my chosen field of inquiry. The Truth About Witchcraft, Wicca, a guide for the solitary practitioner. I thought that was a good one. Very simple, very easy read. You could, like I said, you could read it in an afternoon. The complete book of incense oils and brews. I remember when I finally moved to the countryside, I took my copy of that with me, and one of my beloved friends, he ended up taking that and growing attached to it, and he made every formula in that book. He made his own incense, he made oils and tinctures and brews, and he was kind of the apothecary. But I wasn't so much interested in that. I made medicinal wine based on Chinese recipes and Chinese medicine. But I just wanted to practice my kung fu and engage in real magic. I wasn't about the but I benefited from having an apothecary as a close friend for nearly a decade. And dark, sad news came that like he had amassed the biggest occult library I have ever seen, and he ended up getting involved with a book publishing company that published like older manuscripts and all kinds, everything you could imagine at like bottom dollar rates and really simple jackets. And I really wanted to get my hands on his library, but he died of alcoholism at 50. So I just recently got that news during the big Kuvi situation. So a couple of folks passed away that I really wanted to reintegrate with when I came back to the US when I come back to the US. But sadly, he didn't last. It's really, really sad. The complete book of okay, so I stopped there. That was in '89. Magical aromatherapy, the power of scent, earth, air, fire, and water, more techniques of natural magic. That's just basically a collection of his poetry and in the form of spells. And they're quite lovely to read. They're very juvenile in nature, but they're lovely to read. The Magic in Food. Here's where it was really kind of the big. So this is the early '90s. So like Southern California was huge in the nutrition and pure living, fasting, going out into the mountains and subjecting yourself to like up to 7 days of fasting and going into caves and stuff and dwelling among crystals. There were crystal surfaces out there on the cave. I remember a group of us went one time and we all sat on a rose quartz outcropping, giant, like the size probably like 20 feet wide by like 15 to 20 feet in like huge outcropping of rose quartz crystal, and we all took mystic medicine and hung out on that outcropping. That's a story that I haven't thought about in a long time, and some pretty powerful shit happened um, in the sky above us, but I'll not get into that now. The Magic in Food, Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Wicca, Divination for Beginners, Living Wicca, Spellcraft, Creating Magical Objects, The Truth About Herb Magic, The Truth About Witchcraft, Hawaiian Magic. When this one got published, and this is already after his death, I knew that like the truth about this, the truth about that, the truth, and then all of this other stuff. I knew that they were just grasping at straws to make money for his legacy, and so I didn't get any more of those. Um, Robin Wood, that might have been the girl that brought me the crystal that time. Robin Wood is an American artist specializing in she's characters. That might be her, huh? I would be interested. I don't remember if her name was Robin or not. She didn't make a powerful enough impression on me. She was super cute and had long curly blonde hair, but she didn't make a strong enough impression on me with her cognitive power. So for me, it was more the angle of psionics and like mental strength. And when they were real flaky and engaged in, throwing herbs all over the place and burning incense and worshiping crystals, I'm like, you guys, you're not, and, taking their, drugs, basically, mystic medicines. I said, you're not penetrating to the truth of reality. You're just getting high and indulging in hallucinations. Um, because I was out in the yard doing hours and hours of routine kung fu and then standing better meditation for 45 minutes to an hour at a time, just dripping with water after 4 or 5 days without eating anything. And I wasn't taking any drugs to achieve the powerful rising of the kundalini and expression in the sky and stuff. I'm like, you guys are just you're playing with finger paints. You got to get out here and purify yourself and connect with your holy guardian angel. Don't go down that basically what I consider to be like a gutter path of, indulgence in all of these um, psychoactives that really don't give you the insight, because I could see it in their auras. I could see the death looming, the Grim Reaper. And it took quite a few of them ultimately. So, had they listened to my warning, you know. So I had the kung fu ticket, which saved me from the deceit of this uh, cosmetic, commercialized expression of magic. Wow, I really deviated. That was really a digression, but I think it was worthwhile somehow to set the record straight. So Donald Michael Craig, I thought that he was more academic and scholarly when his book published, and I thought this is it. You know, this is he's not recommending all of this flower power horse shit that's really going to get you nowhere. And so let's cover the contents of this seminal text. Really, lesson one has got you getting started with dreams and dream journaling, the ritual diary, examining tarot decks, and a lot of this is Golden Dawn material that he just repackaged in a very simplistic and clear fashion. So lesson one includes quite a bit of stuff. I mean, it's a knowledge lecture in and of itself, right? And so you could just initiate yourself with lessons one and two. It says 12 lessons of high magic, but lessons one and two is enough for a 20-year jaunt into research and practice, right? What have you got here? Dreams and dream journaling and the dream diary. That's going to take you a decade to figure out, right? With daily writing and trying to get past the first guardian, right? Um, guardian at the gate of dreaming. So, and you should do that, you know, in like your mid 20s to mid 30s, because ultimately dreams start to fade as you get older and you become a higher level magi. It's no longer directly connected with the dreaming world as much as it is your work in the astral while awake and in meditation. But dreaming is a good section of life, you know, from like your teenage years to your mid 30s, when you should explore the dreamland as much as possible. Hey, look, Miss Mary Moon's out there in Happy Land. Miss Mary Moon, I'll get you up to date, up to speed on what I'm doing. I know you don't have time to really tune in today, but good to see you. Um, okay, you stopped by to say hi. Good. I'm talking about Donald Michael Craig's seminal book, um, Modern Magic 12 Lessons in Higher Magic. Modern Magic 11 Lessons in High Magical Arts. It's got a beautiful cover. It's a well put together Golden Dawn type magical text. And yeah, so it's fun. So I'm going over the table of contents alone, and I'm talking about lesson one here. Lesson one has getting started, dreams and the dream diary, the ritual diary, tarot decks, the relaxation ritual, definitions of magic, white, gray, and black. And there's no real coloration. This is kind of just a fancy way of interpreting things. The story of Robin the Satanist. I don't remember reading that, but maybe there's something there. He gives the tarot contemplation ritual, divinatory meanings of the major arcana, mythic and factual histories of the tarot, modern tarot evolution, fortune telling versus divination, the split hexagram tarot divination spread. It's a pretty good one. I don't really ever use it though. Um, reasons for regularly performing the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, attitudes in preparation for ritual, magical tools, location, the altar, candles, the weapons, the bell, the robe, drawing the banishing earth pentagram in the air, and appropriate visualizations, and then a review and a big bibliography. So just lesson one, he gives the threads, the teasers, the hooks on so much stuff. That's funny, Mary. But he gives the threads on so much that it's enough to get you through self initiation and, like I said, a decade worth of work here just in lesson one. Lesson two, same type of thing. It's got another decade's worth of work. You've got preparation for the LBRP, including the ritual cleansing bath. Nah, not necessary. You should be taking a bath every day anyway. I mean, come on. We live in modern times. Uh, physical setup for the LBRP, the Kabbalistic cross, the formation of the pentagram, evocation of the archangels, the god names, um, the guess I could increase the size of the text here. Would be of aid to me. Um, how to vibrate words of power, a vibratory formula, psychic attack and psychic self-defense, the four solar adorations, advanced work for the four adorations, the mythological history of the Kabbalah, the factual history, and the kosher Kabbalah versus the WASP Kabbalah, the dogmatic Kabbalah, the practical Kabbalah, the literal Kabbalah, and including Gematria, Notarikon, and Tamiru to Te Mura, the unwritten Kabbalah, Introduction to the Tree of Life, Freud, Reich, the Kabbalistic Power Centers, The Ritual of the Middle Pillar, Little Nasty, another review, and another bibliography. So if you combine lessons 1 and 2, you've got enough material for a decade of practice and research. All right. Oh, and that was the point I wanted to bring up, is that you don't need a huge library. Like I had thousands of texts on magic, which most are gone now, which is really, disappointing, but I still have a few key texts. And in my humble opinion, you can choose one book like this that is going to be enough. If you're a practicing magician, if you're a scholarly, theoretical person just engaged in amassing knowledge and not really doing anything with it, like Dr. Justin Sledge and kind of Foolish Fish's approach, he's just a bibliophile, right? Um, I watched his LBRP and it's okay, but he doesn't have magic running through his veins. He has an intellectual dichotomy of magic, which is um, not the real truth. I mean, you can compare the difference between my simple salutations and the movement of the actual chi within my body to any of these other guys out there that are just kind of making a show of it and trying to commercialize off of it. Um, that's a direct deviation from genuine magical practice. Anyway, let's keep going over the contents here, and I will try not to digress too much. Miss Mary Moon says that her grandma did Terra her whole life, and she herself thought it was extremely boring. It's not what she says, but she says that she felt, oh my God, this takes so long. Yeah, so that does mean that you um, felt that it was probably a little boring. Nothing like an old cup of cold coffee. That's cool. Between you and Eric Dubé, I don't think I need any other breathing technique, people. Yeah, that's cool. Um, Learned a lot from both of you so far. Yeah, I love Eric, man. He's got good stuff. Yeah, breathing is the real thing of it. Just anytime you're engaged in anything, think about your breathing throughout the day. Always think about the chi, the breath, the spirit coming into the body, right? You can't do that when you're talking. One of my great early achievements as a young man, I think I was around 21 or 22. I went on a silence. I swore an oath of silence, or as best I could in the modern world, while still, working jobs and going to college and pursuing my dreams. But I swore an oath of silence, a vow of silence for 1 year. And I went entire days and stuff, sometimes an entire week. I wouldn't say more than a couple of words. But every time I interacted with people, I sat listening and tried to use as few words as possible and never engaging in conversation. And I had written up, like notices to people, and I said, I'm on a I'm on a vow of silence, so please try not to talk to me too much, And I did that for an entire year. In fact, it ended up lasting like 2 or 3 years. Once I had done it, I just locked into it, and I really didn't talk much from like my early 20s to mid 20s, and so that was a pretty high level achievement for me. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, mine came about by will and no other reason. It sounds like yours might have been prompted by trauma. That shit tends to do that. Hey, we've got a new subscriber on the channel, guys. I just got a notification from YouTube, and it says that someone has subbed. Let me see if I can check the name here. A one Craig Weston. Nice. Thank you for that, Craig. He doesn't have any content on his channel, but he joined back in 2014, which means he's almost a decade-long member of the club here. I'm checking his channel recommendations on his site, and he's got quite a few folks on there. No one I really recognize. And then see if he's got any playlists. Yeah, he's got playlists. So it looks like he might be a fan of Star Wars. Maybe he subbed from my last steak short, my food short. Food review with Frank Monday. Let me know where you're from, Craig. Let me know some details. Leave it down in the comments below if you do see this video, Craig. And thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate that. Sub me and I'll sub you back. I'm subbing you back right now. So I just knocked you from one number to another, 34 to 35. I know how hard it is to grow a channel, man. I remember when I was excited to be in my 30s, and now I'm in my 300s, and it's still just a daily process of attempting to get 2 or 3 subs a year, right? I know your challenge, man. Miss Mary Moon says it's always in the charts. I could see that as we both needed to have that experience of silence that brought us to, however good. Yeah, yeah. I think worthwhile. My top speed is 60 miles an hour. Sandra says AIs, Frank. Remember, you can't expect AIs to do it right. Yeah, that's right. She's right about that. Good comments. Sandra Sue out there in Happy Land, I see you. Monsieur Tiedrick was asking about me about an hour ago, but I think he's probably having his dinner now. No, it should be after his dinner time. I was trying to connect earlier, but it just wouldn't connect. Yeah, I don't see anyone. No, I'm reading comments from the YouTube. The YouTube's giving me notifications, but it doesn't look like anybody got notifications that I was going live. So let me get back to brass tacks over here. We are talking about um, Donald Michael Craig's book, Modern Magic, 12 Lessons in High Magic. Okay, so lesson 3 includes on self-initiation, initiation, elemental earth forces, exercise to master the elements, element earth, and then more on the tree of life, the 3 pillars, the 3 triangles, the 4 worlds, real meditation, the secrets of Kabbalistic meditation, the technique of true meditation, Kabbalistic correspondence to the Sephiroth, and what they mean, the advanced middle pillar, the circulation of the body of light, using magical energy for healing, what you should experience in ritual, the pentagram and the elements, Eastern and Western, making the magical pentacle, magic names, ceremonial versus ritual magic, advantages and disadvantages of working with others, the IOB technique, and review and bibliography. So each lesson has a review and a bibliography, which it's organized so that you can use this book as a self-study tool. So that's just up to lesson 3. I don't think there's any point in going over the entire table of contents because it's quite lengthy. And the length of the book is pretty good. It checks in at just under 600 pages. And so there's enough material in there to keep you busy for at least a decade, in my humble opinion. Longer if you're serious about using one text. Like you don't need if you've got one book that contains the method, a true method, then that's all you ever need. So you don't need to start stretching yourself out in all directions like an octopus, because you are not an octopus and you do not have a brain in every tentacle, right? Those are alien creatures of Cthulhu that have probably a higher level cognition than human beings, and potentially they're immortal, right? They have the power of immortality and live in the depths down. They're members of the order of Dagon, Ithilids, mind flayers. So they're probably a little more advanced form of life than humans in that respect, but they live in the watery domain and will not concern ourselves with those powerful beasts. We've got a preface to the second edition. I'll just get right into it. We've got the introduction. So I'll read the introduction. He says 21 years ago, he was in a period of incredible excitement. In a matter of days, he was to have his bar mitzvah, and unexpectedly, the rabbis on the staff of the temple called him into his office. The rabbi looked about 90 years old and acted as if he was going on 18. He even wore tennis shoes under his rabbinical robes. To me, Judaism had been very comfortable. No hell or hellfire, no believe or be damned for eternity, just love from God and following the negative golden rule. The negative golden rule in Judaism, if you don't know, is don't do unto others if you would not have them do the same unto you. So the way they interpreted in Christianity was to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But the Judaistic rule is more like Taoism. It's that you just don't bother other people and you just don't do anything to them that you wouldn't want to be done to you. So you just leave them alone. Like Lithium Head at work, I wish he knew this negative golden rule. It's like, why continuously harass me in my work? I would never harass you in your work. I don't come over there and knock dicks out of your mouth and tell you how to suck dick when you're doing your job, right? For Lithium Head. So why does he come over and disrupt me when I'm engaging in my great work? Um, he's a bit of an annoyance, but I will drive him away ultimately. But at the same time, he can also be a benefit because he's such an odious beast of a creature that he will keep away almost everyone else. And I've already learned how to deal with him. So he makes a good gate guard. He's going to sit there and he's going to guard the gate, come hell or high water. And his odious, repulsive nature will drive away most people that would seek to you know, uh, to come in there and bother anyone else, right? So I put up with him, and then he drives everyone else away, which falls right in line with being a hermit because you do need seclusion, and my office space is meant to be a place of solitude. Um, yeah, so there you have it. Let's get one of these JP Farrells going. I'm not going to go over this introduction too much, but we'll get down here. So it does have an influence of Abrahamic religion in this, but there are lots of other things. Let's see. I'll read a little bit of it. Here's something of interest. He says he'd like to talk a little bit about what the course covers. It is naturally on ritual magic or art magic in the Kabbalah, the philosophy behind magic, and for that matter, all religion too. It is primarily in the tradition of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and sections may are derived from many other systems, including various Eastern, pagan, and Thelemic arts, so Crowley's system. Some of the topics to be covered include the tarot, divination, the history of tarot, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, the banishing ritual of the hexagram, the middle pillar ritual, the circulation of the body of light, the watchtower ritual, meditation, the tree of life, the three pillars, the four Kabbalistic worlds, the history of the Kabbalah, Gematria, so on and so forth, pathworking, healing, the keys of Solomon, Solomonic magic, magical rituals, which you can design for any purpose, sex magic, and much more. Obviously, there's more to be. This is more than can be covered in the following few hundred pages. After all, there are thousands of books available on these subjects. There are, however, two things you should keep in mind. I'm gonna get myself another coffee brewing, man. That would be delightful to have some black magic to drink on, to sup on. You know how I like to sup on my black magic. Let's do a channel update. It's a really great crowd on the ideas room today. Good to see you, Miss Mary Moon et al. So if you are out there, welcome. This is a Frank Monday transmission from the temple on the Sabbath, and it is the 14th of September. We're going deep into high magic and ceremonial magic. We're really going deep this morning. I promised everyone a long show so that everybody could get in and say their part and have some time to socialize with the group on the 51st day of the 100-day magical challenge. Seminal text I'm discussing this morning is Donald Michael Craig's, spelled with a K, K-R-A-I-G, Donald Michael Craig's 12 Lessons in Higher Magic. So it's called Modern Magic. Just search for that title. Two things he wants to point out. Let's see, we've got some messages coming in from Happy Land. Let me see. Miss Mary Moon says there is a work I want you to check out regarding magical talismans. It's important, and I want your take on it. It's called Medieval Astrology Guide. On this channel, he goes through the best astrological times to make certain talismans. You don't have to do the charts yourself. He makes it very easy to use the current weather in talismans. Okay, that's interesting. Medieval Astrology Guide. I will definitely check that out. And I will also check out Trolldom, which is something you mentioned yesterday, Mary. So thank you for that. I appreciate you looking out for me. Um, in fact, as you were thinking that, I had a premonition yesterday about addressing the difference between talismans, sigils, and amulets, and working in talismanic magic, sigil magic, and then the use of amulets. But it's not something I had prepared notes on yet, but I will. I'll research what you have given me, and it's something I want to talk about in the future anyway. Well, talismans are different than sigil magic. I can go through this really quick before I get back into modern magic. But a talisman is an orientation with a spirit or a power or an intelligence, even gods, where you use their symbols and their iconography to form it in various metals. A lot of people just use paper these days because it's easier to get high quality vellum or nice, cotton paper and use that. I'd like to use cardboard backings for them and then make them into pentacles. So a pentacle can be a talisman as well. But in in ancient times and hundreds of years ago when people had access to artisans and stuff like that, you could use wax, like the armadillo of Solomon is usually made in wax. Um, the Master Mandala of Pope Runyon is just paper and you put it on a back of cardboard backing. Um, so making talismans, you use already um, established symbology, like the symbol of Astarte, the symbol of Baal. Um, People in Luciferianism and Satanism, they tattoo like Satan's sigil on their body, and that's a talisman. They're calling upon their dark lord to protect them. And so some people will carve it in their body with a knife, carving an X in your head, right? That's a demonic form of allowing, of opening your third eye to allow a demon to come in and possess you and utilize your body, so you just get pushed down into the guts of the body, and then the demon takes over. Like if someone wants to go out and be a murderer, or rapist, or something, they'll carve an X in their head. The Mexican mafia, they use talismans, well-established ones, when they're in prison. They'll tattoo them on their faces to show that they're ready to kill, or choke on pipe or do whatever. And like the gang that they serve, they'll usually tattoo that somewhere. Like the famous ones are the 18th Street Latinos. That's a pretty serious gang in LA and San Diego, and they tattoo 18 on their forehead because they want to be known. That gives you a target to shoot at when you get into battle with them. They're big on tattooing the hands as well. One of their famous talismans is three dots, and the three dots on the wrist somewhere or the hand, it represents mi vida loca, or my crazy life, which typically when they tattoo, they'll do this in youth. It's a very ritualistic for serving their dark gods of death and enslavement. They'll tattoo that one to show that they do drugs and they've taken it up the butt, and they're ready to get down and party. So the three dots, it actually comes from the Kabbalah, and it represents the supernal triad at the top, the mother, the father, and the child, right? So that highest supernal triad. the sun and the moon and the stars, but they don't know that. They think it says my crazy life, and so they and you have to tattoo it on yourself. So if you join a Mexican gang, you can look for talismans all over the body. Oftentimes they'll do the Mother Mary. But yeah, you can make talismans on paper. More traditional ones are done like in silver or gold sheet, which are quite valuable and expensive, and you have to put a lot of energy. Um, okay, so then amulets are ones that are worn around the neck, and they'll usually be in pure metals, like you see mine's pure gold. It's the Star of David. There's two stars. There's the Star of David, which represents the macrocosm, and then there's the Star of Solomon, which is the five-pointed star, the pentacle, and it represents the microcosm. So on my robes, I wear the Star of Solomon, and on my heart, I wear the Star of David. So those are amulets, and amulets are meant as direct warding against demonic entry. So in the tradition that I grew up in, you never tattoo the body. You should avoid tattooing the body because you cannot add anything to your body. You cannot add anything to what God has gifted you. But that's, tattooing is very tribalistic thing, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. I just don't do it myself. Um, because it allows entry points for spirits. Anytime you receive injury to the flesh, you break the barrier between your internal realm and external realm. And so received a lot of injuries, and there's been a lot of opportunity for demonic possession, but I drive them away with magic and with God's power, right? Oh, that's why my dad said too. But I had heathen grandparents on the material science, also Celtic tradition before church took over. Um, yeah, so different people think different ways. My dad told me never to get tattoos. He said there's no reason to mark yourself, but that was his suggestion. So that was where it started with me. I wanted to get tattoos when I was young. I saw all the Mexican and black kids in my neighborhood getting tattoos, and I grew up in the ghetto, and I thought that it would make me more accepted among them. But one day my dad sat me down and he said not to. He said that you don't want to mark yourself. You'll get criminal heat from the police and you'll wind up in prison. And so I said, no, okay, no tattoos then. I just won't do it. But I did do ritualistic satanic carving in my body. Like when I was in my first days in Thelema, I was about 17, 18, 19. I joined a Thelemic cult and did a little self mutilation and blood sacrifice, did some branding, right? But no ink under the skin. Yeah, that is a totally different world. Yeah, my father was, like I told you in the past, he was retired naval intelligence out of World War II, and then built his own business, worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, unceasingly, and provided for the family. Bought a big home. Everyone had cars. I drove every car in manufacture by the time I was 18. Started driving at 12, helping him, move cars around the lot and stuff like that, and washing cars and driving cars and stealing cars, doing everything else related to cars. Cars meant power at a young age. It's a way to make money. It's a way to, but he didn't give me like he wasn't like didn't hand out money or nothing, not to me anyway or my brother. But he made us work for everything we got. We had to do all the chores at home. We had to do the yard work, keep the pool clean. He didn't hire servants to do those things. He raised kids to do those things. Um, yeah, so I think my dad had his act together. He was generous with everyone in the community too, though. Like he had a large family, was married a couple of times, had tons of kids, and provided for all of them. Bought houses for his ex-wives and stuff, and bought cars and started businesses for all the children. But because he would not tolerate a woman that would try to dominate him. And so once he figured out if a wife was, being abusive or domineering, he just walked away. Said, "Hey, you can have the house, you can have the cars, you can have all of it. I'll just go rebuild it all." And so he rebuilt himself from the ground up. Since and he was kind of a big deal in my mind anyway, right? A lot of people had bad things to say about him, but he was always happy, telling jokes and working from dawn till dusk. So in my mind, he was a hero. but he got kicked out of his house when he was like 11 or 12 years old or something. His mother was raised by a single mother, unwed, kicked him out of the house. He joined the Navy at 15, fought through World War II, stayed in, rose to the very highest ranks of the naval. So he was basically raised by the Navy. But when he got out, he decided that the military was no career path for any of his children. And so he made me swear a couple of different things. One, I'd never join the military. Two, I'd never be gay. And three, I wouldn't get any tattoos. So I did all three of those things. I did do some ROTC and some military reserve training, but I never joined the military, never turned gay, and never got tattoos. So I abided by his word in that fashion. Why are we talking about that? I don't know. I think we diverged a little. Moon is sextile with Mars right now versus Moon square with Mars. Look it up later, anyone. Okay, cool. Hey, looks like there's a couple more folks out in the ideas room. Did I miss someone? My phone is starting to go on the fritz. It looks like I'm starting to get get throttled by YouTube. Isn't that great? Right when we get started. Well, now that we're at the hour mark, and I'll finish off with these two things that Craig wanted to mention, and then I'm going to reboot because I'm not going to tolerate um, YouTube throttling me unnecessarily. I agree with you, Sandra Sue. I think he was one of the best men that ever lived. I love the man, and I could see in him a lot of power and discipline, self-discipline, and generosity with everyone. But there were folks that wanted to malign him. I mean, last time I was out and I visited LA, like, and talked to, who was it? Uh, Adrian and even Lori. And like, I would sing Pop's praises and even JB. And they would try to launch in with like negativity a little bit. And I'm like, you guys are out of your fucking mind. He created that entire world back then. He gave life to all of you, and he provided everything that financed everything all of you did. And then you're going to show, any kind of disrespect or negativity in retrospect, and all you guys ended up, not cultivating yourselves to a higher level. How's that anybody's fault but your own? Anyway, I don't want to discuss private affairs here on the channel there, Miss Sandra Sue. So we will end it there. Miss Mary Moon's here, yeah. So if you guys have any questions for Miss Mary Moon, make sure you throw them out there. Frank in Jersey Land showed up. Hey Frank, good to see you, man. Hope you are doing well. Yeah, sour grapes is what it is. Absolutely. Yeah, let's not go down that path though. I don't want to reveal too much of our history in the public sector. But I do like to sing the praises of my father, just like Solomon sang the praises of his father. And that's a possibility that we are the reincarnation. Dad was the reincarnation of King David, and I am the reincarnation of Solomon. I like to think that anyway, because they're kinds of archetypes, right? You had the great king, and then his son, the magician. So I like to think of that as a template, an archetype. Pardon me, guys. I'm grinding up some of this Members Mark Colombian Supremo, crafted with care, medium dark roast, 100% Arabica coffee. Really good stuff, man. Whether you're an experienced coffee connoisseur or just beginning your journey into the world of whole bean coffee, your perfect cup is achievable with Cafe de Colombia. And it's really true. I mean, if you want a good, robust, delicious brew of coffee, it's Colombian all the way. Yeah, the coffee's good stuff, man. It's just pure black magic. You got to get yourself a nice, strong brew first thing in the morning. Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that you love your dad, Mary. I can appreciate that. I think that people should love their father. All right. A few people showed up in the ideas room and YouTube kicked me off. So it worked all right for an hour when it was just me and Mary. And then as soon as folks started showing up, give me a yo if we're back. Yo, 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 are we back in Happy Land? Yeah, I'm scrolling. Oh well. Okay, we're back. Thank you, Sandra. Um, yeah, I think the whole lockdown mentality, lockdownerism as they call it now, as Paul Joseph Watson refers to it, lockdowner. No, Styx Hexenhammer says that, which I don't listen to Styx anymore because it's just politics, and it's like the weather. It changes daily, and there's no real reason to pay attention to it. You're better off paying attention to the weather than you are to the political horse shit going on out there these days. I do keep a peripheral eye on it, and when it's forced upon me, like there's a new guy at work that has brought his left leaning Marxist, neo Marxist bullshit with him. And he thinks that it's really important to talk about. And it's like, oh, good God, man, hit the fucking road. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. It caused a lot of trouble for everyone, especially that big switch over to Mr. T and then the Mr. B, right? It broke up a lot of families and friendships, and you saw how like everyone who was on the left, and then when Mr. T like came in, they just they deleted all of their friends who said that they thought he was cool. That anyone that said that they thought making America great again was a good idea, right, and stopping immigration and rebuilding our own industry. Anybody who agreed with that sentiment got attacked by the left. And you can see that we're not doing the same under you guys. You guys wanted Biden, right? You wanted him, and you got him. And we're not badgering you over it. We're not constantly attacking the demented old doddering pedophile every day. Though I do laugh at him occasionally, but I'm not gonna lord it over your head and say that you're a bad person because you voted him in and you supported him in his run against Mr. T. You can totally see the difference there between good people and petty people, right? All of the petty people really, it's like the difference between someone who embraces the idea of a level C plane prime material realm, as opposed to the people who think that we're a oscillating blob shooting through space, right? We will embrace our idea and just do the research and investigate it. That reality or paradigm, it's a paradigm tunnel. But then on the other side of the fence, they'll attack us, try to kill us, and get us shut down, right? But we who gives a fuck what they think, you know? We don't do the same to them. We don't attack them for being globe heads and all that horse shit and lying about the cosmos constantly. All right. And rather than investing all that money that goes into the fantasy of the sci-fi fantasy of exploring space, which doesn't happen, right? Why don't we build underwater vehicles so that we can explore the realms below the ocean? I think that was Martin Leet on Flat Earth British that said that yesterday in his like 3 hour marathon. I don't know how Martin does it, man. I know he's caffeinated. He seems like he's a little bit of a tweaker too, but I don't think he is. And I think that he puffs on Mary Jane during the show, but it's because he rolls his own smokes. But he doesn't smoke much. He takes a little puff here and there. Yeah, I think they're calling him POTUS. So rather than POTUS, President of the U.S., they call him POTUS, Potato Head in Chief, Chief Potato Head in charge. Did you know that he's been in the Senate for 720 years, according to his own accounting? When I got to the Senate 720 years ago, Negroes knew their place. There was segregation. It wasn't a racial jungle. But now we got the border open and we're going to get rid of that border. And where's my wife? Could somebody change my diaper? I can smell the shit running down my legs. Is that your daughter over there? Can I smell her hair? When you use a Southern accent, though, you sound more like Slick Willie than you do Joe, because Joe has a Midwestern accent. He doesn't sound like Potato and Chief. Mr. Potato Head, Mr. Potato Head. And did you guys watch Professor Hamamoto's latest show? You should, if you want to hear about all of that pop culture, politics, and get a funny take on it, like as if it matters, right? He's just polishing all of their shoes, and he's a little bit sour grapes himself for not getting as many accolades as other professors of his caliber, or even below his caliber, if you would hear him say it. But he wanders around and meanders around enough in his dissertation that I think it's funny to listen to him. So definitely check out Professor Hamamoto. I told him that, and he responds to comments because he's got a small of enough subscription base, only 10,000 people, that he will still respond to comments because he's trying to build his base. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And he only gets a few hundred views on each video in the beginning. Thank you, Sandra. Um, if you're interested in the true crime stories, I mentioned Manny Grossman the other day. He's kind of fun, and I jumped on his channel, and he's only got a couple of thousand subs as well, and he only gets a couple of hundred views per video. So he's a low ender too, like myself. Professor Hamamoto would deceive you into believing that he is far, far above the likes of Frank Monday. I told him I wanted to interview on his show. And I think he thought that I meant I wanted him to be on my show. And so he said he didn't have time, that he was really busy. But the reverse was true. I wanted to be on his show because he interviews low caliber guys all the time. And I thought I've got something to contribute. And I was prompted to say that because he said he wanted to talk to people living in China. And I've been here 20 years and I've got powerful insights into the society here. And he said, "Oh, I really want to talk to people that live in China and are living it so I can find out what's going on there." Right. So I sent him a message. I said, "I've been in China 20 years. I'd love to talk to you." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't really mean what I said. I wasn't really interested in talking to a genuine researcher living in China. I was just pontificating in that direction." So he's a little bit disgenuine in that respect. And maybe it's just because he's too busy right now. So I better watch it. Callie Karen will be over there telling him, "Hey, Frank Monday was talking shit about you over on his channel. He didn't say he loved you." I do love Professor Hamamoto. I think that he's dandy. He's definitely a dandy. Just like I love Dark Journalist, and Dark Journalist is going live in an hour, guys. He's got a dynamite show lined up for you. So if you're interested in DJ over at Dark Journalist, he is going to be exploring stuff well beyond his own kin. I think it's going to be an esoteric, occult style inquiry. And DJ doesn't really have the chops. I mean, he's stuck in anthroposophy and Blavatsky and woo goddess Gigi Young, um, where very little genuine research is taking place. It's kind of hundred-year outdated uh, lectures and stuff. They're fun to listen to, though. I don't disagree with Steiner on a lot of stuff. It looks like he's live right now. No. But wow, he gets 1 million views per video now. So he's definitely hot shit, right? He's got a sub base of 138,000. I thought he was already well over a quarter of a million, but 138,000 and like thousands of comments per video, hundreds of thousands of views per video. So I'm even shocked and amazed that Olivia would even mention my name on her show, on their show, you know, the likes of a ghetto baby like Frank Monday out there doing legitimate paranormal research is not really in line with the new mainstream media message. But the thing that I had expressed that Callie Karen latched onto and started lampooning me for was that DJ his only interviews JP Farrell and Catherine Austin Fitts and Gigi Young. He's got 3 people he interviews. And I said, I think he should branch out. He should interview Professor Hamamoto. He should interview Paula Asteria. He should interview a cult fan. He should interview other people. He should make the time to platform rising stars in YouTube, right? That would help promote other people. But he'd rather polish JFK's long dead shoes and Frank Sinatra and Marilyn Monroe because those pool the numbers, right? That gets people clicking on your videos. So Tesla, Trump, and the time capsule, something that we'll never know anything about. So just speculate on it all you like and talk about it all you like, but it's never going to touch the lives of anyone. It's never going to be integrated into our daily paradigm. It's just sci-fi fantasy, essentially. And so he likes to include the esoteric fantasy in there as well, the occult fantasy, which is good. That's what attracted my attention originally. Um, but I think that he buys into it too. I think he thinks we're on an oblique globe launched through space and time, and there were legitimately Freemasons playing golf on the moon back in the 60s, and that the International Space Station is a real thing. Yeah, that's okay. It's big money, big numbers, and all that. The Hollywood hoax. You guys know that NASA has the largest Hollywood green screen on the planet right now. It's the biggest one. Let me see. I think I got an update for his show today, and I will check to see if it's available. My coffee's overflowing here, guys. I will definitely call them out when I see it, like Professor Hamamoto does. Hey, Tanya commented on one of my videos. She said that I was annoying. Are you there with her now, Sandra Sue? Why would Tanya say that my video is annoying? She really doesn't like me, does she? That's why she's perpetrating so many crimes against me in my absence. That's all right. I find her a little bit fucking annoying too. Yeah, why did she say that I'm annoying? And it might not even be her. It just says Tanya. She's the only Tanya I know. There might be other Tanyas out there. Um, let me see if I could find it. It was your 30-second clip. Okay. So she hasn't talked to me in 20 years, and the one thing she says is take a little jab at me, a little poke in the ribs. You're so fucking annoying. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you for the encouragement. I'm trying to see if I can find that. Esoterica has just uploaded a new video too. Kabbalistic Theology of the Heretic Messiah, Sabbatai Zevi, the Cliff Off, and Redemption Through Sin. That'll be a good one. And then we've got the Modern Hermeticist says the Chaldaic Oracles of Zoroaster, 2 parts. Foolish Fishes got esoteric and occult news. Mino Pond does a lot of good tarot videos. I don't see the update for DJ's video, man. That's annoying. I know it was on there last night. Jeff is out there, says 9 hours ago looking for me. He says, Frank, you're killing the steak with the A1 sauce. Why ruin a good steak? You don't even fucking know, man. Jesus Christ, a steak with A1 is the most delicious thing. I don't care what anybody says. That little sour bite of the vinegar and the other herbs and spices that they have in the A1 just complements a steak so well. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I wouldn't put it on a filet mignon, but I don't have filet mignon. I was eating a USDA prime ribeye. I think I was having a New York strip last night, but that's there's no steak higher quality than putting a little A1 on it. You can kiss my ass. Yeah, so people found that steak video annoying, huh? I thought it was genius. I was sitting there with my son, and my son was laughing, and he's like, "Dad, you're a riot. I love it." And so who knows better? Someone a professional YouTuber like myself, or some asshat out there in Happy Land that thinks I'm annoying. Everybody's annoying. I don't see her creating a YouTube channel and with any amount of videos. Let me check. Let me see who this Tanya person is that's taunting me and trying to offend my sensibilities. I'll click on it. Annoying. 4 hours ago. This was recent. Yeah, Dre's my biggest fan. Okay, so this Tanya person, her channel has no content. She joined in 2022. She has no channel recommendations, no playlists, no videos, no content, and nothing written in her bio section. So it's basically just a blank channel, which is just means that this is a non sequitur, a non nome de plure, a non person, an NPC, um, not to be bothered with. Do not bother yourself with the trolls. She's a tourist. She's a YouTube tourist, not a YouTube regular. Yeah, Dre's my man, Dre Bay. Yeah, so no update on DJ's deal, man. They deleted it, and he's going live. Yeah, notification on. He's going live in an hour. So if you guys do like listening to DJ, make sure you check him out in an hour. So let's see what he'll be pontificating on. It says that his show is going to be about the Great White Brotherhood versus the Eighth Spear occult. I bet he's going to have Gigi on this one. I'll probably skip this one. Uh, Dark journalist pontificating on the Eighth Sphere or the so-called Great White Brotherhood doesn't really interest me. I just don't think that he has any insight into the area. He can just look at the breadcrumbs left behind by other people that were in the public sphere. Ultimate Mystery School. Shit. Please join us for this exciting X Series episode 134 as Dark Journalist goes deep to find the roots of the Ultimate Mystery School, the Great White Brotherhood, and their guiding spiritual influence on the world. The Mystery School stands in opposition to an occult influence that is seeking through transhumanism and scientific materialism to harvest humanity into the dangerous virtual reality realm identified by Austrian mystic Rudolf Steiner as the eighth sphere. Yeah, sounds very exciting. Mhm. Yeah, you're too clever, Miss Mary Moon. Thank you for the support. Flattery will get you everywhere. Criticism will get you nowhere but on my shit list. I think that's the Piscean nature. It says that Pisces don't like to be criticized. And why should anyone criticize anyone else? I don't criticize other people. I might talk some shit and I might say something directly to them. No, I do. I'm criticizing. I'm criticizing DJ and I'm criticizing Professor Hamamoto. Everyone has their good and bad aspects, and you can criticize me as well. It was an annoying video, and annoying videos tend to garner the most interest in the mainstream, right? So I intentionally make my food review videos a little bit annoying because it's it's 30 seconds of just fucking around. So that's its intention. Its intention was to annoy you, to garner your interest. Yeah, so he's got a picture of Iwas, which is Crowley, with a burning X on his head, and then a picture of this looks like McGregor Mathers in the Golden Dawn. Um, I don't know. DJ does his research. I like him. I think he's a good guy. And I would definitely be interested in checking that out, maybe in an hour. It's for me. It's just about trying to harvest views and subs. I want to get the reason is I want to get above 1,000 so I can post comments and pictures. YouTube will not allow you to post community pages until you get over 1,000. I think it used to be 1,000 subs. It might be 10,000 subs now. So you can't do any like advertising of your own with the community page until you get over either 1,000 or 10,000 subs. Yeah, I know. It's pointless. They're fucking just stringing me along. I know. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm not gonna worry. I'm not gonna be overly careful or self-censor too much. Fuck it. I mean, it's been fun while it's lasted, but it's extremely infuriating, and it can be nihilistic too. But I try to keep it centered on magic from now on, and try to avoid all the other happy horse shit. Right. Yeah, I'm here to interact with you guys. I'm here to interact with you, Miss Mary Moon. Originally, honestly, guys, to tell you the whole reason why I started it was just to keep my mom updated, Sandra Sue. I wanted to keep her daily updated or weekly. Originally, I just wanted to do it periodically, maybe a couple of videos a month, and just let her know that I'm alive still. Because she's always worried, is Frank still surviving out there in China, you know, and he'll never come back to America, and I have every intention, every firm intention of returning there. And yeah, so that's it. That's the only reason I did it. And so then it turned into reaching out to a larger community and interacting with more people and friends. And I had high hopes when I first got into it, but it took 5 years to get over 100 subs. So I thought, nah, it's never going to work. Okay, so um, Craig, in his book on modern magic, says there are two things that you should keep in mind when dealing with the plethora of material out there to study. Number one is Sturgeon's Law. Sturgeon's Law states that 90% of everything is junk. Of the thousands of books on magic, much is repetitive and much more is useless guessing by people who haven't even tried the simplest ritual. This course will leave you with the best of thousands of books, plus over 20 years of personal research and practice. And as a 30 plus year practitioner of the magical arts, I can second this motion. I collected thousands of books on magic, and they were all basically, well, a lot of them were useless, but they did gradually build up to what I am. And I was already what I was before I even cracked a magical text, right? That's why I say that I'm a natural magician. So, 5% of the people get 90% of the work done. Like, I love Foolish Fish and Dr. Justin Sledge, but it's just tons of human opining and inquiry into the history of it, and it really builds nothing for a magical base. Although Dr. Sledge has videos that come out that will highlight and enlighten certain principles of things I study, so I find his lectures of interest. But very few of the others. The modern hermeticist doesn't offer much, um, doesn't add much to the conversation, really. But this book does. This book is, like it says right here, this course will leave you with the best of thousands of books plus 20 years of personal research and practice. And I can affirm that it does. Number two, he says the second thing you should keep in mind. It's not the purpose of this book to completely explain all of these topics. The purpose of this book is to introduce you to these ideas so you can direct yourself in your lifelong study of the occult. Remember, occult means secret or secret wisdom. It does not mean evil, and it does not mean of a cult, right? That's why the occult has been so maligned over time, and people think, oh, you study the occult? You must be a devil worshiper. You must be a Satanist. The humanity, right? And that's just like deeply ingrained religious propaganda from the mainstream Christian church, and most more directly from the competitors. Magic is a competitor of Catholicism and Judaism. And so obviously they don't want you saying, hey, you mean there are intellectual guys who took the best of everything from our works and then compiled them into grimoires that you can engage in on your own without the oversight of a rabbi or a priest? Oh, it must be devil worship. You should be careful of demonic possession. You don't have a priest overseeing everything you're doing. You're not bringing your children into our church to let them be molested by our elders. You must be a devil. Yeah, you got to remember, Mary, with books like the Picatrix and the Lemegeton and stuff, it takes decades to even understand what those authors were talking about, and that's not going to grant you magical power. You could take one of the rituals from the Picatrix and visualize your way through it on the astral and get the effect. You don't have to do any of those things. Those are very archaic approaches, and they're meant for mind control of the magicians who were the leaders of cults and covens in ancient times, right? Um, but they have their value. They have their value on your bookshelf. But this book, Modern Magic, is where it's at. Yeah, there a lot of them were sickos, you know. That's okay, Saunders. So you don't have to know anything about magic. I mean, here's what it says. Um, this book, Modern Magic, it's a simple 600-page book, and it says, will give you correct, immediate, useful information on the Kabbalah and ritual magic, more than any other single book or course currently in print. And so this was back at the end of 90s. If you never read another book on magic, you will have everything you need to be a powerful, successful magician from the contents of this book. And there it is there. That's it, man. It's pretty straightforward. I'd like to talk about the Golden Dawn. At times when this magical lodge formed in the late 1880s, there were few really good available books on magic or Kabbalah. Most of the good books on these subjects which exist today were written by members of the Golden Dawn, people who were associated. And the Golden Dawn originally was called the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor. And at the turn of the 19th century, there were tons of spiritualist groups gathering in lodges like Freemasons, Rosicrucians, the Golden Dawn, Thelema, the Order of the Temple of Oriental, right? Crowley's attempt to research into the mysteries of China, which was his intent, but he could never even get anyone from China to interact with him about Taoism. So he did his own translation of the Tao Te Ching. It's useless, essentially. He wrote the Book of the Law, useless, essentially. Maybe one or two aphorisms from it are of value. So, like he originally said, his first point, what was it? Sturgeon's Law. 90% of everything is junk. So, junk DNA, junk this, junk that, whatever, you know. You don't need to waste your time with it. Get one good book and study it throughout your life. All right. But you can amass a library too, because it's fun to look into other things, but it won't create learning. It will create confusion, right? Oh, okay. Yeah, give me a yo for back. Yo, yo, yo. Yo's out in Happy Land. Anybody out there in Happy Land? Yo, yo, yo. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine, Mary. Okay, thank you, Mary. Thank you for the yo. Thank you for the yo, Sandra, if he's still there. Yeah, that's like okay, so we'll get into it a little bit. So the Golden Dawn's contribution, the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, can't be overlooked. Some people who are pagans, Wiccans, or witches frequently criticize those who claim to be ceremonial magicians by saying that all they do is talk and read. They claim that magicians don't do much magic. Unfortunately, I find myself in total agreement with them. But if you follow the instructions on the following page, step by step, you will be the unique and rare individual, a practicing ritual magician. So that's what I am. To break it down for Sandra, who doesn't know much about magic, the foundation of my magic is threefold: Volantia, Decreeism, and Possum. So there are three Dantians in the body, and they represent the three force fields of energy in the body. The upper one connects with the celestial vault with God, the Godhead, the Father God, and heaven. The middle Dantian connects with the human realm, with your emotional nature, with your compassion, and your interaction with the human sphere. The lower Dantian connects with the lower realms, those below the earth, and what are called the infernal realms, the demonic realms. So sexuality is a kind of daemonic force, becoming over sexualized and ejaculating all of your energy out into the world and becoming overly sexually oriented is a demonic depletion of your energy stores. But it's also the foundation of procreation and life. So the first order of magic is sealing up the lower gate at between Malkuth and Yasal, and sealing up that diaphragm and learning to breathe and arch your back so that the lower sexual energies, the aroused Kundalini energy, rises up the bodily tree, the spine, and into the brain to commingle with celestial energies and then transform in the skull and be drank down into the body as immortal elixir and then stored at the heart center, right? This is the basic process of magic. Anytime you pull that infernal energy up and then transmute it into celestial energy, you can cast spells and transformations in the material sphere, but you can also cause effects in the etheric and astral, or working on the etheric through the astral, right? And by creating yourself an astral realm in which to dwell. Now, you don't dwell in the astral after death, but you transient through it. It's a liminal space, right? So, reconnecting with the Godhead is the essential idea. A magician engages in reconnecting with God before death, so that at the time of death, he's assured a reality in heaven. So, rather than speculating on, oh, I love God, therefore when I die I'll go to heaven and be with God and family and all of this, you get there before death. You develop the power to enter the spirit world while in physical form through astral projection, so that you can prove you have a way to God, right? To yourself only. It's not about convincing others. You can do whatever the fuck you want, right? um, but that's basically magic, and it interacts with every aspect of your life. Eliphas Levi, one of the greatest transcendentalist magicians of all time, said that the great work is mastery of your faculties in your future, understanding astrology and the zodiacal alignments, but mastering the self discipline to have control over your ideation. So that when something negative like lithium head rambling in your ear, it doesn't disturb you. You realize that it's just one of the multifold transformations in the material sphere, and it's got nothing to do with you. Like when you make a little funny video and someone says, "Oh, that's so fucking annoying," you don't let that bother you. All right, that's below you. That's in the emotional realm. You should dwell within the celestial. So let me give you the basic definition from from Craig's book here on what magic is. Before even getting into magic, he says that you should dream journal, ritual journal, all this journaling. So start journaling. Part of the magical practice is doing some journaling, right? Writing things down. You can do it in the form of pictures. You can do it in the form of witty aphorisms. Learning the tarot is a part of the magical journey. Ritual work, like learning to meditate and do self hypnosis and relaxation ritual, that's a part of the magical journey. Okay, so let's get a definition from Donald Michael Craig's Modern Magic on what is magic, right? Craig says, in the first few pages, we have already covered a great deal of material. We discussed dreams, ritual work, gave you a ritual to do daily, and told you how to keep a record of your work. This is what is going to get you started on practical magical workings, as opposed to theoretical knowledge. The assumption made, however, was that you have a basic idea of exactly what magic is. But your definition may not be the same as mine. So let us now try and come to a workable definition of magic. Are you listening, Sandra? Are you ready for this? Are you ready, Neo? Welcome to the chat, Neo. Good to see you. Sandra, are you listening? According to the famous occultist Aleister Crowley, magic is this, right? Quote, the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with the will, end quote, right? So it's a science. Magic is both a science and an art of causing change. Change where? Change in yourself, change in the world, change in the cosmos, celestial change, infernal change, prime material plane. You're causing some sort of change to happen, right? Like if you're in a situation of impoverished, right? You're in an impoverished situation and you need certain things, you can manifest those through magic. You can cause change to occur. You can intend for something to be repaired or fixed, and someone will come and do that and help you because all of God's creatures work towards the glorification of the great divine one, right? And of the Godhead. So your improving life condition is a direct result and a great benefit to yourself and to God, right? You get richer and you enjoy more and you amass wealth or whatever, or you move gradually from a lower impoverished state to a more affluent, abundant state because it helps you worship the divine better. It helps you support your family better. It helps you interact with the community in a more enjoyable manner, right? So, what other change? Change to occur in conformity with your will. So, will. So at this point, it's important to talk about will, willpower, and intention because these three are different. The will of the magician is not your regular willpower. The will of the magician is in Latin called volantia, and it means more like the motive, the the force, the momentum, the power of this keyword, your intention, your intent. So Valantia is the triangle of art. You put something within the triangle of art, the eye and the triangle. You guys have all seen this symbol, and that's what you intend to happen, right? Like I intend for this to happen. That's my will. Then the second part of the magical equation is decreeism. You decree that it will happen through lux voc, right? Through vibration of the voice becoming light in the world. So I command that it will happen. This is step two. Phalangia, I intend for it to happen. Therefore, decree, I command it to happen, right? I don't just ask for it. I don't just get on my knees and beg God, right? I I beseech God as a humble servant to bring it about for not only my benefit, but for his greater glory, right? So I command it. That's step two, decreeism. Step three is the possession of it. This is when you've done steps 1 and 2, you've done the work. Step 3 is just receiving it. So receiving is different than other people may think. They think that grasping and grabbing is a way of receiving. It's not. You make yourself passively receptive to the response from the universe. The universe will echo anything you send out. So the basic equation from biblical language is ask and you shall receive. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. This is a magical process. My intention, my intent, I ask and I receive. I decree, I seek, and I find, right? The third part of this is actual magic. I knock, right? I create a sound, an echo. I generate a vibration, and the doors of the temple fly open. So that's basically it. I mean, I don't know how to make it more simpler. The higher you get in your magic, the easier it becomes. You work through this process daily through selfless service and giving to the community. You always do what you should. You jump up first thing in the morning, you make your coffee, you make your breakfast, you go to your work, you go to a 9 to 5, and the revelations come in time. Synchronicities build up. You meet people that will help you. God sends divine angels to protect you. Jesus was a magician. People overlook this fact. He was a practicing magician. He was a magi, and he had a coven, right? A basic coven in Judaism is a single leader at the center, surrounded by 12 zodiacal forces. How many disciples did Jesus have? He had 12. Why did he have 12? Because they're the 12. They're the unfolding, the multiplicity unfolding of the four great archetypes. There's four powers at the center, the tetragrammaton, the Father God, the four-lettered name of God, Yud, He, Vah, Jehovah. And then that is multiplied by itself to become the 12 stars of the zodiacal crown, right? The 12 symbols of the zodiac, with the North Star dead center. So when you take a single sphere and surround it by 12 other spheres, you have a hidden sphere, the mastermind at the center of it, right? Why I and my Father are one? Because I'm the center of the 12 zodiacal manifestations. Jesus was the 13th member of his coven. He was the leader. He was a magician. People can't even see it. That's okay. Just keep wandering in darkness and eventually you'll find light. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to help if I can. Okay, so in a classic magical coven, in a classic magical mind group, mastermind group, there's the person who has the idea, the Valantia, the intent to get it started, right? And then there are the 12 people who will come to help and also have their intent, but the intent must be unified, right? We are one, we are unity, right? They have to sing out in this voice. There are deeper esoteric principles to this. Like Mary points out the fact that it is the 12 disciples, the 12 signs, the 12 tribes, the 12 astrological animals of the Chinese zodiac. So how do we get to 12? All right. Lots of secrets there. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it will just confuse Sandra. And so Sandra, some of this message is in part for you and for everyone at all, everyone in the larger community. So what exactly do these, okay, so let me get back to Crowley here where I missed it. I got ahead of myself. So we just finished with, according to the famous occultist Aleister Crowley, magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. Crowley was a member of the famous Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which was mentioned earlier. Another member of the Golden Dawn was Dion Fortune. Her definition of magic was different, but similar to Crowley's, except that she considered change to be change in consciousness. Note, Fortune was a lay psychologist with several works on psychology to her credit under her real name, Violet Firth. But what exactly do these definitions mean? Let's say that you do a magical ritual to get $50. It therefore is your will to get the money. You go out for a walk, and although when walking it isn't your habit to go right in a particular street corner, something makes you decide to turn left. A block down the street, you meet an old friend who returns $50 that you had loaned him several months ago. What made you turn left? According to Crowley's definition, your magical ritual would have caused some change in the physical world, which resulted in your turning in an unusual direction. Perhaps it was a smell, a telepathic message from your friend, a higher entity telling you to turn left. If you ascribe to Dion Fortune's definition, then you would say that your ritual made you change your consciousness, which gave you the information to turn left instead of right and guide you towards the memory of that guy that owed you $50, right? And at the same level, you would have a subconscious imprint that, hey, I need $50, and you don't remember consciously, right, at the level of Volantia, but at the subconscious levels, the deeper levels of the mind, you remember that you're short 50 because you had lent someone 50, I don't know, 6 months or a year ago, right? In either case, these things are apparent, and a multi-model approach occurs as well. It was coincidence, the modern mantra, right? Scientific analysis. It was deja vu. It was mysterious spirits. It was your conscious change. Those don't matter. What matters is that it happened, right? Don't know, who cares about the how? You just care about the $50 in your hands now, right? In either case, three things are apparent. Number one, no matter which definition you use, the actual result is the same, right? It doesn't matter if you're on a sea level plane or you're on an oblique spheroid spinning through space. Well, it does matter, but it's all a tunnel reality, right? And why is one better than the other? Like Lovecraft wrote, at the end of our life, we wind up with a head full of images, some of them fantasy, some of them reality. And why should you say one is more important than the other? I disagree with that a little bit, though. I mean, okay, guys, Dark Journalist is live. If you guys want to go over there and tune in for DJ, make sure you do that. Callie Karen, if you're out in the ideas room, get over there and watch Dark Journalist. Make sure that you tell him that Frank's live streaming, so he's not going to be here right away. And he was talking shit about you earlier in his show, saying that you don't interview anyone other than Gigi Young, Joseph Farrell, and Catherine Austin Fitz. And until you interview Professor Hamamoto or Apollo Asteria, he doesn't want to. Yeah, get over there, Mary, and go check out Dark Journalist. All right, I will catch up with the ideas room here in a minute, guys. Okay, so he said in either case, three things are apparent. Number one, no matter which definition you use, the actual result is the same. Number two, the results function as if there had been a change in the physical world, regardless of whether it had been a change in the physical world or just a change in your consciousness. It's as if there was change in the prime material plane. Number three, here's the third takeaway, right? And this one's important. Magic works. Unfortunately, either definition is still too broad. If you cause a change in conformity with will and call it magic, then almost anything you do is a magical act. If it is your will to open a door, then you turn the knob and open the door. By the definition above, you have done magic. In fact, Crowley says, Crowley, his name rhymes with holy, so Crowley, Aleister Crowley, says that every intentional act is an act of magic. I'm going to pick my nose. I've done magic. Right? So that's a little bit wishy-washy, right? His name, if you follow his line of reasoning, there's a great deal of validity in what he says. Although it is not what we are seeking at this time, we need to make a more serviceable definition of magic and make it a little bit longer. Therefore, Donald Michael Craig's definition of magic is this, quote, magic is the science and art of causing change in consciousness or in the prime material plane to occur in conformity with your will or volantia and your intention to do so using means not currently understood by traditional Western science. End quote. And I paraphrased a little bit there in the middle. If you want to know his exact quote word for word without my ad-libbing, then just buy the book or download it for free off the interwebs. We have added the idea that magic is accomplished by some means not known by modern science. A ritual which causes something to occur does not make sense to the current Western scientific thought. Therefore, scientists are inclined real magic real magic, since it doesn't fit into their worldview, is nothing more than supernatural hokum and woo-woo. But magic is not supernatural. It is natural. So if our entire universe came about either as a certain creation of an intelligent being, such as God or beings, or merely as a result of chance events, we still must come to the same conclusion. Everything in the universe is natural. Therefore, magic being a part of being a part of the universal expression is natural. Some ancient cultures considered the apparent rise and fall of the sun to be a supernatural event, but it's natural. As time passed, it was discovered that the seeming rise and fall of the sun was in fact a natural event caused by, he says here, the rotation of the earth. Um, there's that's one single line. A little shout out to his Globehead scientific friends, because had he not said that, then his book probably never would have made it into publication. I think anyone of discernment knows a little better than that. Yeah. So, like Neo says, Atlantean Neo, welcome to the chat. Good to see you, sir. A time traveler from Mu, ancient Lemuria, Atlantis, and beyond into future realms of existence. Neo is with us from his wizard's tower out in the wild regions of the Pacific Northwest. Really where I want to be, man. You're in the good land. You're in the real Magic Kingdom, Neo. Sandra Sue as well. Sandra doesn't realize how magical. I think you do, Sandra. I think you realize how magical the Tennessee Valley is, and you should embrace it. Those little spirits flitting around, dragonflies and hornets and horseflies and um, what are those called? Fireflies. You can't get that anywhere else, man. It's great because all the people in the chat right now live in beautiful countryside, whereas here I am in a city of 50 million people, fucking squeezed into a little closet-sized apartment. But I wouldn't be making this transmission if it wasn't for the fact that I'm at the heart of the celestial dragon. I'm trying to check the chat, guys, see if I can catch up with you guys before we continue with a little more of Craig's book here on modern magic, 12 lessons in high magic. And what time is it? 9 a.m. DJ's about to go live, guys. Yeah, Neo, go on a spending spree occasionally. Don't be too decadent or profligate, but all the money that you pump out into the economy will come right back to you in threefold if you're doing magic. If you're not, you might be spinning your wheels, you know. My highest level of magic and empowerment, like financially, was just giving up and being like, fuck, I don't care. You know, my wife's never gonna let me keep any of this money anyway, so I might as well just not worry about it. And you know, I got married and decided to raise children, so I need to embrace the empowerment. And the less I care about money, the more the universe empowers me with it and increases my salary. But at the same time, my level of responsibility and the idea of more selfless service, which is good. Yeah, so using like different languages, Hebrew or Chinese or Latin, it's just the magical incantation. So when you program an ancient into a foreign language, it grants you a sense of eldritch power because your mind will disassociate with the wording and it will give you the paucism. Remember, it's three parts to the equation: volantia, decreeism, and paucism. So the paucism part about like being passive to let the universe give you what you desire, then it really helps a lot if you're using an archaic language like Old Irish, for example, would be perfect. Though I do not speak Gaelic, and I've already invested so much energy into learning Chinese, Latin, and Hebrew that my Gaelic is rusty. All right, but it grants you a deeper level. You can more directly contact the subconscious mind with a foreign language because your critical factor will be tricked by it. All right. So the Valantia is the critical factor. The decreeism speaks directly to the center dantian at the subconscious level, and the paucism resides in the unconscious level at the lower dantian, the infernal realm. So I'm giving you guys too many high level magic secrets. You can't feed dragon food to the uninitiated, right? Yeah, I like to have my coffee, man. But you guys are all initiated in your own level. And so I think that like Sandra Sue, I don't want to leave you behind in the conversation. And that's why I don't want to go too deep into the esoteric nature of the occult. Because I would like you to benefit from the talk just as much as anyone else, just as much as the highest level magi would. Okay, so like Mary points out the idea of doing a magical ritual to get $50 million. The only way that magic is going to work for you is that if you believe it's real. When I first launched one of my revelatory self initiation into the magical world, I had to convince myself that I believed it was real. And not only that, I had to know that it was real and I had to grok it. And so, do you genuinely believe that someone's just going to come and dump $50 million in your yard, right? So your analytical mind will look that over and say horse shit and throw it out the window. And so it will not allow it to go into the deeper levels of the subconscious and unconscious. And thus the universe cannot respond and grant you that wish. So you have to start small. You have to start with finding a single coin. Do the quarter ritual as illustrated by Robert Anton Wilson in Prometheus Rising. Start to vividly imagine a quarter spinning in your mind, or whatever you guys got in Canada as subjects of the British King Charles. I don't know what money he grants you guys to use. Um, what do you subjugated people up in New Scotland use under the behest of your King Charles? You guys use British pound sterling? Or I don't think they allow you guys in the outer commonwealths to use pound sterling. I think you have to use some sort of um, Canadian fiat currency. Hash coins. Miss Mary Moon is empowered with money beyond their bad magic. That's right. She figured it out long ago. You make your own money. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're smarter than them. Fuck them. All right. So imagine, Mary, you're in a new location, and I'm sure there's a few ancient coins hanging around the garden. One of your first magical, it's called apportation. Like you can literally make money drop out of the invisible realm when you get powerful enough. I have done this on occasion, but you just can't constantly sit there and make gold coins drop from heaven. Or maybe you could. If I believed that you could, maybe I could. But I have succeeded in apportation, which means to make a gold coin appear while waking from the invisible realm and into the material realm based on real magic on a whirlwind, right? So I've done that. I've succeeded. And you only need to do it once in order to convince yourself that it's possible. And it requires so much energy gathering over such a great length of time that it's just easier to go out and get a day job. You know what I mean? So why would you spend 9 years gathering your subtle chi to make one gold coin appear when you could get a day job and save your money, and within a month you could go out and buy a gold coin? I mean, anyone with any level of intelligence is going to know that the great lengths of the search for the way are superseded by the persistent necessity of material endeavors. And that's why there are very few who actually pursue a magical path. Magic is not the lazy man's way, right? The lazy man just goes out and gets a day job. And the magician has to get a day job too. I want to see the real magic, but at the same time, I can't abandon my responsibility to my family. And I got to feed my children. I can't feed them on manifesting gold coins, one gold coin every 9 years out of the aether. I mean, fucking kind of horse shit. How would that pay the bills? Um, where did I leave off? You guys distracted me with the chat room. I started thinking about it. Yeah, you got to have common sense. Okay, so if our entire universe, we already read that paragraph. Let me get down to the next paragraph. So Craig goes on to say that he's firmly convinced that one day magic will be understood through Western scientific means. And I've already seen this. Sandra, you can confirm this. When we were back on Deerford Street, I had a fever that lasted like days, got up to like 102, and I fell into a magical trance. I was 7 years old at the time, and I was visited by gray aliens. And I told you and Dad about it. I was really scared, and I thought I was going to die and stuff. And I told you guys about sigils that were appearing as darkness within darkness. And they would come to me, and I could use my mind to touch them, and they would open up into giant plates of alchemical language written in. I couldn't describe it as a child very well, but I remember I described this dream to you, and it was when I was a boy, I had a fever, right? This is legit. I had never heard Pink Floyd at that time. You know, I was a 7-year-old child. The only thing you guys played at home was classical music and jazz, right? And then it was Tanya's happy ass that started bringing home funk, right? Because she was hanging out with the Negroes. Um, keep having a feeling of buried stuff. Okay, so yeah, my magical intention led me to that too, Mary. So start visualizing an item. It doesn't have to be a coin. And your intuition, because you're a powerful psychic, Mary, will guide you to the image you should create. See it as vividly in the mind as if it is sitting before you. And then know that you will find it, right? If you do this as over a process of like a 15-minute meditation, and then forget about it, write it down if you want, burn the paper, and then forget about it, because you have to move from Valantia, the visualization process, to decreeism. I will find this item in the God. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. That's step 2. And then step 3, forget about it and realize it's already happened because you said it, right? And then you'll find it. And then report back to me, journal about it, right? I sat down and meditated for 5 to 10 minutes about whatever item, write a vivid description if you like, right? Or a general description. The more vivid the description and in the mind's eye that you see it, the more accurate it will be. And then when you're out working in the garden that day, you know, a week from now or a month from now or an hour from now, and it turns up, you'll be like, here is tangible proof that magic works. And that's all you need is one experience of this sort. And it will launch you on a career of magical manifestation that should bring you to one point: conversation with your holy guardian angel and reunion with the throne of God. And that's what high magic brings you back to. Manifest all the good things you want in your life in greater service to the truth, that benefiting yourself and benefiting your family makes stronger people that can do more good in the world. We're the ones that should be having children, magical practitioners. We're the ones that should be repopulating. We got to keep the Caucasian race alive, right? Yeah, we don't have to. We don't have to do anything. Here's the difference between happening randomly and happening with magical intent. If it happens random, your mind may write it off to coincidence or synchronicity, right? But if you do it in a documented fashion, you're now a science of hermetics. You move yourself from something being random or good luck, right, to being in command of it. So that's the huge difference. It's just a difference in ideation. It's all the same. In fact, none of you need ever practice the magical arts because it will consume time, just like Mary's astrology and astrotheology. Once you get involved, it's going to suck you in. It's a gravity well, even though gravity's a farce, but it's going to pull you in and you're going to spend thousands of hours researching it because it's so interesting. If it is interesting to you, like for me, tens of thousands of hours of practice, tens of thousands of hours of research, and thousands and thousands of dollars spent. So the search for the way is long and arduous, but you will not do it alone. Your brothers and sisters on the magical path will do it with you. Yeah, Neo knows the magical method. Okay. Yeah, that works too. I'm all I'm doing is presenting you with a very easy to use method that's not like astrotheology and astrology and stuff. That's all very complex and requires hundreds of thousands of calculation and years of study in order to be able to make sense of that. I'm presenting you guys with natural magic that requires nothing more than your intent, your word, and your open hands to receive, right? So there you have it, man. I've just revealed the greatest secret of all time, the one that amasses fortunes for people who know and will also at the same time cast those into poverty who do not know, because either one will manifest from the mind. So he says he's firmly convinced that magic will be understood. Oh, I wanted to relay a dream I had when I was 7, that we will have dark mirror plates in the future that you can just hold up and perceive the etheric realm all around you. And so we'll be able to monitor, not through this modern technology, but through an alternate Atlantean type of technology, where the first intention of computers was to communicate with the dead. So to be able to talk to the spirit world and have them respond to you, um, to hold up a portal window so you can directly see into the afterlife, right? So if someone, and this will be helpful for people in their grieving, right? Like a beloved person is lying on their deathbed, and you set up the portal, and as they die, you watch the spirit rise up out of the body. Not only that, you can mitigate it to a triangle of art so that they can stick around and give you their final message, and so that you can guide them to the right portal for their own afterlife transition, which the angelic forces already do this, but one day we will be able to interact more directly. It happened in the ancient past, it will happen again in the distant future. But whether or not that ever happens, it doesn't really matter, because it's the truth of a spiritual reality that we're right now. I'm using a dark mirror to teleport out to all of you in Happy Land, right? So I'm speculating far too distant. History proves that reading, writing, mathematics, astronomy, astrology, chemistry, medicine, physics, and more were all at one time deep occult sciences. Today, many of these things are taught to children before they begin school. The occultist of the past becomes the science of the future. Arthur C. Clarke, the famous science fiction writer and author of 2001: Space Odyssey, said that any sufficiently advanced technology will appear to be magic, but with those with lesser technologies. So Craig totally agrees with this. In a sense, then, you are now a scientist of the future. That is why you should follow what is called the scientific method in your magic. This method tries to control all variables in experiments and keeps accurate records of those experiments. This is why your diary and journaling is so important in a path of magic. It will show how variables, weather, emotions, etc., affect your experiments, your rituals. I cannot overstress the importance of keeping magic and dream diaries. This is for him. Honestly, I think that you should do that for a while, but don't let it consume so much of your time that you're not actually doing the magic. It's more important to do the magic than to record it, in my opinion, because I'm a natural practitioner. But I do love journaling. In fact, today I originally had intended to go through some of my more recent journals, like the one that I started at the beginning of the 100-day magical journey, and show you guys some of my doodling and some of my magical pontificating. But I forgot and didn't get there. So we now have a definition for magic, which is far more specific than Crowley's or Fortune's. Dion Fortune's, which her other name was something else, Violet Frith. Since the results are the same, by the way, I will be dropping Fortune's in consciousness from the definition. But the definition we have so far is still not precise enough for our purposes. We have to add our definition, the goal or result of the magic. So he divides magic at this point. Don't wait a minute. Mary says, I started a coffee account to follow you, and I'm going to add my doodles on there so you can see how similar they are. It looks like stuff you made. Really? Guys, let's all get a shout out there and go in there and show your support for Miss Mary Moon's buymeacoffee.com/what? Mary, tell us all about it. That's exciting. This finally gives me an avenue to give back because you know that I'm Piscean. The first time Mary bought me uh, a coffee on Buy Me a Coffee, I wanted to immediately give her back something in return. Mm-mm, that ain't gonna fly. Get back on your page and let me know what that is. Oh, okay, that's exciting news. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, see, Neo knows. Neo says real magic is spiritual and mystical in a realm of no proof, and no proofs will be given to the skeptics, right? On the one hand, your critical factor, your intellectual factor wants to be skeptical of everything and analyze everything. But that's the trick. You have to make magic happen. You have to trick the critical factor into allowing magic to happen. That's why it's a threefold process. Valantia, decreeism, and paucism. I forget the author that came up with those Latin equivalents and did an entire master level thesis in anthropology on that aspect. I read it on academia.com, but it has served me so well in my own natural division of using the Danteans for magic, right? Yeah, me and Mary we may in fact be a split soul. So definitely tell us, leave it in the comments down below when you remember it, Mary, or go check right now. You know, we're going to be here for a little while longer. Go check, give me the address. It's going to be www.buymeacoffee.com/, what is it, Mary at Sea Level 2? Is it the same as your YouTube title? It should. You should try to unify those things. It makes it much easier for people to find you and support you, because I'm definitely interested in sending anyone support that participates with my little um, grim fandango here, my horror show illustration of the way, the truth, and the light. Okay, so Craig divides magic into three categories, which Pope Runyon addresses this in his book on Solomonic magic, and he says really um, the color magic is on a different level. It's the magic of the spheres, but Craig's dividing it here on an idealized level. And let me try to break it down. So he gives the description in three categories: white magic, black magic, and gray magic. But really, when you're studying the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, we have there's magic associated with each of the Sephiroth, and each of the Sephiroth has a color sphere. So Kether, the highest magic, is white magic at the top of the tree. As you move down, gray magic would be Hokmah, right, the wisdom magic, and then black magic is the magic of Binah in the sphere of Saturn, which doesn't mean that it's evil. It just means that it deals with harvesting and cutting off and this kind of thing, right? The great Grim Reaper. It can be death magic, but it doesn't have to be evil. There's no evil in the realm of the magician, right? He protects himself from evil on all sides by invoking God and his angels. Then as you move down the tree, you've got the blue magic, which is mercy magic, the sphere of Hesed and healing. And then it's one form of healing, emotional and etheric healing. Then you move over to Gabura, the red magic, the magic of lust and aggression and combat, right? And then you move down the tree into the sphere of Tifereth, which is the gold magic, right? This is where Kether manifest with its gold emanations. And it's solar magic, right? It's the magic of most directly connecting with your holy guardian angel, and therefore is sometimes called high magic. And then as you move down the tree of life, down the lightning flash, right, you move into Netzach, the realm of natural magic, the green sphere. So it's green magic, right? Dr. Green Thumb, if you will, right? The whole sphere of the natural realm and woman, right? Love potions come from the sphere of Netzach, but combined with the lightning strike and Gabura, the lust, right? Then you move across the tree into the sphere of Hod, which is mechanical's orange magic, right? So there are all various kinds, but this is too convoluted for um, people that have not studied the tree of life. So we'll stick with Donald Michael Craig's basic ideational division or ideological division of white magic, black magic, and gray magic. So white magic, he says, in Eastern cultures, white magic is known as yoga. And when most people speak of yoga, what they really mean is hatha yoga. Hatha yoga involves stretching the body in order to prepare it for true yoga. The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit root yug, which means union, and it's a true union of breath with body. So you yoke yourself to the higher self or with God. White magic, sometimes called mysticism, is the yoga of the West. It has a variety of names, including cosmic consciousness, the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel, realization of your true self, the higher divine genius. We will use in this system, right, and more. But he says in this system, they use the expression used by the Golden Dawn, which is the HGA, right, the Holy Guardian Angel. White magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will, using means not currently understood by Western science, for the purpose of obtaining knowledge and conversation with your holy guardian angel. And there it is. That's white magic as defined by Donald Michael Craig. Yeah, never use magic to never allow evil to diminish your magic or use it toward ill intent or for personal gain. That's correct. That is a correct understanding. And realize when you use it for material manifestation of wealth, right? If you do it with a selfish intent of hoarding things, then you will be thwarted, right? And you will only be consumed by your evil. But when you do it with an intent to give to the community and greater empower your family and the community around you, you will make yourself a conduit of God working in the world, right? And that's the difference. So you can manifest wealth in order to benefit your community and the world at large and to help people, right? Like, why would you put a person with very little education and very little knowledge of accounting or logistics in charge of a homeless project, right? You wouldn't want to do that. So you skill yourself up in the study of sociology and good economic accounting principles and understanding supply chain management and logistics in order to maybe get a government grant to open a homeless shelter, right? That's a high level of magic right there. Then you're saving souls, you're doing God's work. And that's why we have things like collective endeavors for social programs, like churches and homeless shelters and other sorts of social supports. These are important. I never disagreed with them. You could never accuse Frank Monday of being so far right that he thinks capitalism will save the world. That's Alex Jones. Go listen to him if you want to think that. Right. But at the same time, I don't think that you should give your spiritual development over to the church unless you're a homeless, mentally ill person. Right. And if you are, then there should be those people in the community who come forward and give that type of service. And that's why the magician works in the community, because he tries to find an opportunity to be of service to the great work, which is elevating. And I don't want to verge too far in the direction of leftism either. And people try to come in and say that Frank Monday is a communist or a Marxist, right? Because you need to synthesize a better, more all inclusive paradigm. And at the same time, it has to incorporate traditional values that we know work, that are time tested and honored. See, now you're talking high magic, Mary. Miss Mary Moon says, open a shelter, run on hash coins, and make the people work in the weed fields. That's true magic. If you can achieve that, that's been my dream since I was a little boy. I imagine found out that there was rural property to be had for like back when you could buy an acre of prime rural land in the Tennessee Valley for $100 an acre. And then when my father helped my grandmother pay off her land, it was about $1,000 an acre. So even then, I thought, hey, if I could just get $1 million, I could go out there and buy what, like 10,000 acres of land, and I could take my flute into the homeless communities and say, hey guys, I got a paradise out in the Tennessee Valley. I'm gonna lead you guys all there to grow cannabis, and we're gonna feed the world and get everybody high. And the government knew that I was intending to do that even when I was like 12, 13 years old, and so they thwarted me. They said, no, it's illegal to do that. You can't go into the homeless communities and lead them out of their hell. We won't allow it. You can't be the Pied Piper, and so they thwarted that. But anyway, I had that dream as well, and it got usurped by a higher magical calling of bringing 1776 into the heart of the kingdom of the celestial dragon and working at an elite academy and leading these people towards the truth of the spirit of freedom. So now I'm sowing the seeds of freedom within the hearts and minds of the top level academic elites that will eventually probably usurp the Western world as far as the number one economic leader and greatest military force on earth. Yeah, when a society allows tobacco to be legal, but they won't allow cannabis to be legal, you know there's something wrong. Because tobacco, the Mars herb, increases your aggressive critical factor in examining things in great detail and brings you more into the material sphere. That's why it helps me with reading and this type of thing. Whereas cannabis, man, that just sends you into paradise. But it disperses the critical factor, and you won't be able to focus as isolated on individual units. So yeah, the big conspiracy is to promote caffeine and tobacco to get people working in factories and able to concentrate on a single job, slicing fabric or knocking out ammo shells or ammo cans or whatever. Guys smoking and drinking coffee are going to be able to do that. Whereas you take one puff and you're like, wow, everything's beautiful. You want to be out in the garden, interacting with the natural world. So tobacco and coffee are on the side of the pillar of charity. They're over on the sphere of Hod and Gebura. Whereas like alcohol and cannabis are on the side of mercy. They grant the blue green energy of mercy, whereas these stimulate with the red orange energy of severity. So you can show how imbalanced the society is when they do certain things, but it's all I mean, it's brainwashing, it's mind control, essentially, mind control through chemicals. That's right, every herb bearing seed. Benjamin Franklin knew that every herb bearing seed was a benefit. Yeah, Benjamin Franklin used to talk about purchasing a pony load of hash. He said that you could buy a pony load of good Lebanese hash for a single silver dollar. Imagine the power of the American dollar back in Benjamin Franklin's time, when a single silver dollar could purchase you a pony load of the finest Lebanese blonde hash. I mean, how much is that? How much can a pony carry? What's a pony load? That's quite a few kilos, I would imagine. That's in Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, or it used to be. It's in the copy I have. But he talked about a pony load of the finest Lebanese blonde hash costing one US silver dollar. Right? What can you buy for $1 now? Doesn't look like he said it's a republic if you can keep it. Get yourself a pony load of hash. And he talked about so Benjamin Franklin. I've done a lot of research into Benjamin Franklin and his logistic lists on purchasing supplies for his plantations and his quartermaster, and like dealing with the quartermaster and motivating troops and stuff. So his camping list, when he would take the boys out camping, like everyone went camping together, um, would consist of like 10 like 10 kilos of good coffee, 2 kilos of the finest Arabica coffee, right? 20 pounds of average grade tobacco, and 3 pounds of fine tobacco, right? Um, 10 cases of good whiskey, 1 case of exquisite whiskey, right? So look at his logistic supply list that he's organizing before going camping. Um, a pony load of fine Lebanese blonde hash, right? It's like a pony load. You guys gonna get high. He knew what was up. Uh, the 20 pounds of good bacon, 5 pounds of high grade bacon. So he had the average list for everyone, and then he had the exquisite list for the officers. And I was like, Ben, you knew what was up. He called himself a bon vivant, right? He chastised Thomas Jefferson when Thomas Jefferson tried to put too much religion into the documentation they were compiling. You know, Benjamin Franklin was the type of guy that would go to war if you raise the tax on Lebanese hash from 2 cents to 5 cents. He's like, no, we're fucking going to war. We're not going to put up with that horse shit. There's no way we're going to pay an additional penny on our British tea imports from East India. He's like, fuck it, we'll build our own goddamn ships and import the teas directly from China ourselves. Why do we need the king telling us to pay an additional 50 cents? His printing press was all about thwarting the monarchy because they charged immeasurable amounts of money for books, right? He's like, we can sit here and publish books for free all day long. The American system today has deviated so much from the original intent of the founding fathers. The founding fathers, their original intention was piracy. They're like, we want to thwart the ideas of copyrights. You know, everything Benjamin Franklin did, he put into the public domain. His binocular glasses, his bifocals, his Franklin furnace, every invention that he discovered, or ingenuity and advancement in electricity or fuel economy, or aiding the average man in his daily life, the Franklin writing desk, all the patents he put into the public domain. And that was the spirit of the American forefathers, not profiteering. Today, it's just run by corporate fascism. Everyone intent on profiteering. All right, we're going to make a movie in Hollywood, and if you guys trade it on the internet, you're going to go to prison for 10 years. Franklin's rolling over in his fucking grave. He's like, fuck your Hollywood movies. You know, it's all deception and stupidity anyway. It's nothing of interest. You could benefit more just from reading Benjamin Franklin's autobiography than you ever could from tens of thousands of Hollywood horse shit. Oh, absolutely, Chandra Sue. I studied Franklin in depth. He was one of my favorites. There's probably a copy of his autobiography, one of the good ones, if you didn't throw it away or give it to the library. You know, a book that I paid, $2.99 for, that today's worth $100. Those books that I bought in my youth that I amassed there in Tennessee, they're all out of print now. You can't find them anymore. They want them burned. They don't want them to exist anymore because they had written facts in them that you can no longer answer under the new liberal order. All right. I'm surprised Biden's not knocking on your door right now saying, hey, get those books out here in the yard. We got to burn them. Those are records of a Mandela effect past that no longer exists. They better be. I'm going to come over and kick somebody's ass. It's just all the treasures that have been sold. Yeah, but the problem with the sites, Mary Moon, is that they can be electronically manipulated with Mandela effect. You have to have the physical copies. That's why those physical copies were so important, and they should be preserved and taught to future generations, because there was a great legacy of the original spirit of 1776. Although it's in the gutter now. Yeah, but even the photos on the sites can be manipulated. But I agree. I think that's something of high value. Again, though, right? Back to that original idea that 90% of the shit out there is junk, and you don't need more than one or two books. Yeah, the printing press was Benjamin Franklin's gig. Let's get back into it for a few moments, guys, before I wake everybody up with my excitement and my accusations. I love you, Sandra Sue. I hope you're doing well. One day my fury and wrath will descend upon the people who have, and they did it behind your back too. I realize that. I don't want to get into it though. It causes me nothing but grief. Yeah, alcohol for extracting the essential oils from herbs. You know what you're doing. You know a lot more about magic than I do, like herb magic, the sphere of Netzach. And there's folks out there that know a lot more about the realm of Hod than I do. So if I was going to place myself on the tree of life and where my speciality is, it's within Yesod and the middle pillar. From Malkuth to Yesod to Tifereth to Kether. That's my basic transmission. The three Dantians, the Dantian of Kether, the Dantian of Tifereth, and then the commingling Dantian of Yesod interacting with Malkuth. That's the way I get it done, right down the middle pillar. I've digressed again. Where did I leave off? Yeah, the Irish tree of life. I ended up wandering down a meandering path. Okay, so black magic. Here's where it comes in, man. The black magic. Black magic. This category of magic has an easy definition which needs little or no explanation. Black magic is the science and art of causing change to for change to occur in conformity with will using means not currently understood by Western science for the purpose of causing either physical or non physical harm to yourself or others, and is done either consciously or unconsciously. So, at any time when you're trying to cause physical or non physical harm to yourself or other people, you're doing black magic whether you know it or not. And that's what tyranny over the minds of men is. It's black magic. So much of the world is engaged in a hypnotic dance of black magic against the minds of children and unwitting people through symbology and a poisonous weaponized culture of decadence and twerk your ass and all of this stuff, which is essentially degradation and degeneration of the feminine principle. Why is it not that transvestites and men pretending to be women isn't being called out as the blackface that it is? It's a mocking of the feminine, right? The new gender fluidity of the left message, it's a form of black magic and it's evil. That's all it is. Sorry, guys. It's a level of decadence and Sodom and Gomorrah that God will ultimately bring down great furious wrath upon. And if you're engaged in it and you think that it's just a dalliance of fun and a cosmic rainbow of delights, then be warned because it causes harm to yourself and others, right? It causes real harm. And I won't go any further on that. I've said my piece. You know where I stand. Gray magic. Gray magic is a mixture of white and black. I disagree with that definition. Gray magic is either becoming white or becoming gray, right? As we shall see. So it's a kind of fence sitting thing, right? Gray magic is the science and art of causing change to confirm with will, blah, 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 for the purpose of causing either physical or non physical good for yourself or others, and is done either consciously or unconsciously. Let us say that you do for a spell for a friend to help regain her health. By definition, this is gray magic. because you are doing something for the physical good of another person. However, because you did the gray magic to help another, you end up feeling that you are closer to divinity, closer to the knowledge and conversation of your holy guardian angel. Thus, it is also white magic, right? On the other hand, let's say that you did a ritual to obtain $1,000. Unlike some philosophies, the traditions of magic hold that there is nothing wrong with using magic to advance yourself in this world. Yes, it is perfectly fine for you to use your magical abilities and knowledge to get ahead on the physical plane, to get money, friends, love. After doing your ritual to obtain the $1,000, you're in a car crash and leaves you exactly $1,000 in his will. Yes, you have attained your end, but you have done so using black magic. You have inadvertently killed a person, right? So you do it, and that's why the parameters set forth in ritual magic are so important. You have a magical intent, and you remember it's conscious or unconscious, and you say, "Oh, I need $1,000," and then bam, grandma drops dead, and she leaves you exactly $1,000, right? You inadvertently may have caused someone's death, or you could say, "Oh, it's coincidence," right? I needed that $1,000, and grandma dropped dead, and it's not a big deal. Well, you could say that in a multi-model approach. Your paradigm may hide the truth from you, in fact, when the invisible tendrils of the mysterious realm reached out and granted your wish, my friend. So that's why studying magic becomes a an act of setting parameters and guards so that you do no harm, unless harm is to be done. And sometimes it does. So I'm not gonna pontificate too much on that. Some may even say that some of you may be thinking now, well, so what? I got the money I wanted. Yes, that's true, but there's always a price to pay. You got to break some eggs to make a long omelet. Here, Craig warns you: as you sow, so shall ye reap. If you have caused evil, even inadvertently, and if you have been a source of spiritual darkness, even unconsciously, it will surely return to you. Now, this is not karma. This is energetic response. Some writers get into Indian ideas of karma and Indian ideas of the Kama Sutra and all of this other fanciful five-headed demonic gods with 1,000 arms and lizards' tails and all of that. I just find that to be a little bit too far into the realm of fantasy. Um, Doing black magic will have a heavy price, which means ultimately your death, your own death and destruction. So all you do is accumulate. If you do black magic, all you do is accumulate negative energy that will consume you. And so my greatest recommendation is that you never involve yourself in evil. Yeah, and do no harm. You guys know what's up, man. I'm just preaching to the choir here. But it is a Sunday, and this is a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning service for those who would lend ear to listen and interact. Sandra says she walked to school only a few blocks away. Nunu says no bus route for our hood in Lewiston, Ohio, Idaho, when I was a child. Idaho, woohoo! Yeah, Idaho, Utah, Texas, Washington. I was up in Washington as a kid. Hey, Sandra, do you remember why we went to Washington, Puget Sound? Who were we going there to visit? I totally forgot. There was like a guy named, what was his name? But he took us out on a boat on Wizard. There was a Wizard Island and Crater Lake, and we were up in Oregon and Washington, and we went into the Puget Sound, and he had like a rowboat, and there was a whirlpool. Do you remember that? Were you on the boat? I remember he took the kids out. There was like a whirlpool leading to Hyperborea. Do you remember that guy? What was his name? Your dad's cousin. Her name was Honey. Dad had a cousin named Honey. See, I wish you'd written all this shit down in your journals because I'll never remember that. And if you try to go into the spirit realm before I have a chance to come back to Tennessee again and sit with you and talk about these things that are of interest to me, it's called genealogy. So if I lose my connection to genealogy, then I will be very upset with you. You will see me in my magical circle with my rod of flame, punishing you for leaving before I allowed you to. All right, guys. Dark Journalist is now live. He's 30 minutes late to his own show, so if you're going to go over and check him out, you can do so now. I will open his show in the background here so that I can keep an eye. There he goes. Okay, guys, he's live. 1,200 people are in the ideas room over at DJ's. Huh. Her name was Honey, and Henrietta was her nickname. Oh, her nickname was Honey. Okay. Yeah, her. Yeah, I can't. I'm using the phone, but yeah, Honey. Oh, that's interesting. I'd like for you to sit down and write out as much as that story as you can remember, Sandra, in one of your journals. If you can still hold a pen, can you sit down and write? You used to journal a lot. You used to read a lot and journal a lot. I know you don't like to do it as much anymore. But if you'd sit down and write down as much of Dad's genealogy as you can remember, that would certainly be serviceable to me in the future. Because I plan on telling the stories to my son Dresden, probably my daughter Amber as well. But I plan on teaching my grandchildren the understanding of their genealogy, both on your side of the family and on Dad's side of the family. So if you can motivate and inspire yourself to do that, to write your memoirs and write as much of the genealogy down as you can, that would be very useful to me. And hey, Sandra Sue. Okay, I'll talk to you about this later in a private email. I don't think you can email though. I'll talk to you about it on WeChat. I have an idea. I have a way. I'm about to figure something out that will benefit you directly. All right, guys, DJ's live. Where did I leave off though? Let's keep him going in the background. He doesn't put a cool down on his chat, so it moves too fast to keep up with. It gives me a headache to even try to watch it anymore. Well, it's at 1,500 people right now. When it gets up to like 2,000 people, there's just no way to interact with the chat. Yeah, I'll send you some messages on WeChat later. And if you guys ever want to contact me directly, like 24/7, you can download and add me on WeChat. It's a Chinese app. Your dad wanted to marry you off to who? And so I did the unthinkable. I shaved my head and wore a tie-dyed hippie dress. It's true. Yeah, it is ridiculous. DJ's chat is ridiculous. I have to be like fresh and shaven and showered and a cup of coffee in me in order to be able to deal with this chat. Whereas right now I'm not feeling very fresh. I'm feeling a little bit worn out from working and driving all week and taking more classes than I should. You guys can see that I look a little bit beat up. But don't tell me that because that will hurt my ego. Just say, damn, Frank, you look good. You look young for 50, right? Yeah, that's funny, your story, Mary. Yeah, I'd like to know more about dad's side of the family and grandma's side of the family. Yeah, her sound. He was a Jew. I remember him saying Jewy things to me, and he looked just like Israel Regardie. Thank you, Sandra. That's what I want to hear. Um, because actually telling people stuff like, "Man, you look bad. You look tired." Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. That's actually black magic, right? White magic would be saying, if you feel that concern for someone, giving them a hug and saying, "Hey, you should know you're loved. Do you know that you are loved? I don't know who by, but somebody loves you." Yeah, I'm a German Irish Jew. That's my claim to fame, right? The German part of me helps get that little Hitler out and get things in proper order, right? And give good orders. And then the Irish side of me keeps me lyric and lively and connected to the Fey world. And then the Jewish side disciplines my religious aspect so that I can learn the direct alchemical formulas and mathematical equations to be among the angels and God directly to open the portal that gets you there. So yeah, I'm a German Irish Jew. He figured me out. And so that gives my son real power, right? Son and daughter. My daughter's a high level natural magician, but my son is more analytical and more engineering type. And he gets that from his Chinese side of the family. His grandfather's a professor at the top university here in the field of uh, nuclear physics, practical applications. He builds, well, I'm not going to tell you the exact details because that might get me in trouble, but he's the head. I'm not even going to say his department. Forget I mentioned that. But he'll come over sometimes and train my son in the finer aspects of mathematics, of which I have no understanding, and engineering. So Dresden is going to be a dynamo in the mental realm. And he's also really good at basketball. I wanted to force him into Taoism and spiritualism and have him do kung fu and stuff, and he just wasn't naturally inclined to it. So I said, okay. He's learned a few kung fu forms and a little bit of qigong from me, but he's like, Dad, I'm not interested in all that woo woo horse shit. He's like, I'm gonna build spaceships, real spaceships that go under the water and into the caverns of the Earth plane, not sci-fi fantasy ones that try to get into the sky. Yeah, he's a sweetheart. I love Dre. He's got he's got the most empathetic nature of anyone I've ever met, even more than his sister. Like any suffering, because he's similar to me in that respect. Um, any suffering of any kind grieves him deeply. Like if he sees someone like a dog that looks sad, he's just like heartbroken. If he like if his mom yells at me or I yell at her, like he's like, no, guys, you can't do that. Like he's a deeply empathetic person, a deep empath, but also very. Yeah, guys, DJ's on fire tonight, man. He's got the foundation on. He's got the bright lights on. He's looking good. He's got his mustache trimmed. He's got the hair product in. I love you, DJ. I'm sending love out to you. Let me type something in his ideas room. Love you, DJ. Ad Astra for see if you'll see that. Let me see what's going on in my ideas room. Huh? Are we back? Yo, can you hear me? Lost. Yo, yo, yo. Mamaville. Can you guys hear me? Give me a yo if you can hear me. Yo, yo, yo. Did we lose audio? No volume. Yo, yo. Up or down? Up or down? On the other Bluetooth. Yo, yo, yo. Okay, I see the yo's coming in. Let's see. How about now? Can you still hear me? Hello, hello, hello. It's good. Good to go. I'm good to go. Okay. Well, let me finish up this text, man, so that I can head off into the abodes of the future. And 'cause we're going on 100. Now it's buffering. Wow. We're going on 170 minutes. 180 divided by 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. We're quickly approaching the end of the third hour, guys. I think I'm gonna have to let my voice rest and do some art. Still going? Okay, good. So how can you avoid falling into the pit of black magic? First, by practicing white magic. So how do you dispel negativity? By increasing positivity. This is why the first part of this course is only involved with higher angelic magic. Do not ignore the work, as this course is cumulative. Your development as a powerful magician and what happens in the future is dependent on what you are doing right now. Second, before doing any of the other tree of life sphere magics like red, blue, green, orange, gold, you should always do a divination to determine the effect and outcome of your magic. That's why the tarot cards are so important. If I create and cast this sigil for my good fortune, what might be the outcome? Right? What's the most negative factor? What's the most positive factor? What will happen within my family? What will happen within my career? Right? Is it good to go forward with this? So tarot can aid. That's primarily the only thing I use tarot for is my own communion and communionation, communication, and guidance from my higher divine genius. Oh, and he gets into that next. I must have learned this book so well that I could repeat it from memory. Yeah. Before doing any types of magic, do divination to determine effect and outcome and set parameters. This is a reason why learning the tarot is so important. Look, he says that right in the next sentence. On the following pages, you will discover the meanings of 22 major arcana, the true meanings of the cards. He says there are no such thing as true meanings of the cards. The tarot is based on symbology and it represents your own intuition and the multifold manifestations of things and events and people and greater powers in the prime material plane and in the celestial. You can use the tarot to reach into the celestial realms and down into the infernal realms as well. You don't need to use reverse meanings in the tradition of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. We don't it's not advocated that you use the reverse meanings of cards because there are already enough negative cards, like 1/3 of the cards are negative, that you don't need to be reversing good cards and making them negative as well. And at the same time, you don't need to be reversing negative cards and making them less negative. You just there's a there's a systematic and natural blend of 33% negative cards, 33% neutral cards, and 33% good cards. So that careful development of the tarot, it's 78 cards, 22 major arcana, 56 minor arcana, 16 court cards, is been intuitively developed to have a good blend. So you don't need to use reversals. That's up to you. I don't personally use them. In the meantime, continue your magical diaries and relaxation ritual and add the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram. Don't forget the tarot contemplation ritual if you want to do it, and the candle contemplation ritual if you want to open the realms of lucid dreaming more rapidly, right? If you remember, I did a video most recently on taking a single taper, staring into the flame for approximately 3 minutes. So about 50 seconds at a time, close the eyes, raise the flame up into the third eye, and then relax. Contemplate the flame for try to discipline yourself up to about a minute at a time with the candle at arm's length. All right. So hold it out at arm's length. Contemplate the flame in the mind's eye. Close the eyes. Ooh, look at that sphere of Keter. Brilliant, scintillating white light flexing out into gold, red, gold, blue. Anyway, you can add the candle contemplation ritual. I my suggestion is that you do the candle contemplation ritual from 3 to 7 days consecutive at a time, and then rest. So if you can get yourself up, if you can discipline yourself up to 3 days each evening before sleeping, upon retiring, to contemplate the flame of a candle, 3 days in a row, then the magic will happen. It worked for me just recently. I was off and on. I did a couple of days. I didn't make it to the third day. I forgot. I got distracted. I did 3 days, and bam, last night Dreamland opened back up hardcore. I could tell you guys about the meanderings and musings from Dreamland last night, but I'm not going to because it's highly secret stuff. And it was good fun, man. And finally, after all my struggling the last couple of weeks, I got to the final gate guardian, and he said, "Okay, you can take this back with you." And I was allowed to come back into the material plane with full memory of Dreamland last night. And so I do have some prophecies that I'm working on. I will not reveal them in the public sphere, but they will go into my journals. And then when they happen in the public in the in the public realm, I won't tell anyone about it, and I won't say that I was right. I'll just write down, okay, prophecy revealed, prophecy fulfilled. But they're ground level things that don't concern the average everyday man. And I don't think that it's important to receive recognition in the public realm and the public sphere for predicting things like the assassination of a key leader or other certain events that I see coming forward. Because uh, you stick your head above water, like you stick your head above the crowd like that, they will definitely throw shit at you, and the intelligence agencies will be knocking at the door. You know, um, so high levels of remote viewing, astral travel, and lucid dreaming are not meant to be revealed to the public. Good, Neo. We can communicate them privately through emails, but if we ever reveal them in the public sphere, they'll definitely, the three amigos, the men in black, they will be knocking on your door. It happens every time. I've seen it happen to people that were dear to me that worked in high levels of worldly life. And you don't want the kind of horse shit that they bring down on you, you know. So let's keep it at a friendly keel, right? Guys, I have got tons of stuff to do today. I wanted to try to get a 3 hour transmission. I have done that. I do believe 180 minutes, man. That brings us to the 3 hour mark. I'm going to retire for a while. I plan on doing another long marathon transmission this weekend, either later today, you never know, depending on how things work out here in the house, or I might be going live again, same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow. It'll be 6 a.m. my time, 6 p.m. for most of you guys out there in the past. From the abodes of the future, I have been your host, Sir Francis Lunas Aristeas of the Ordo Templi Astarte. Today, we did magical exploration into modern magic by Donald Michael Craig with tons of digressions in all types of various angles and degrees. Thank you for that, Sandra Sue. It's actually first thing in the morning, Sandra. It's night for you. Angels be with you, Sandra. So you should be saying good morning, Frank. Have a great day. Uh, Thank you for that, Atlantean Neo. Always good to see you out in the ideas room. I knew from day one that you
or a time traveler of great merit. And I knew that having you as a friend on the channel would be awesome. Miss Mary Moon, thank you for tuning in. Even though Mary's in the thick of it, man, she's raising a family, she's building a new house, she's got her dad over visiting, and she's got all kinds of dynamite fun fucking weekend shit going on. She still decided on /Frank Monday for me, and / I don't know for Mary. She needs to tell us. Don't be hiding yourself, because we will certainly be buying you future coffees in the future. Y'all good looking sex people, stay well on Happy Land. Thank you for spending time with me. I will see you in the abodes of the future as above, so below. Keep doing good magic. And until next time, ad astra per aspera to the stars, my friends. And Zaijian, much love. Namaste, as they say in um, Thailand. And in China, we say Nam Myoho Fu, or the subtle name which cannot be spoken, not easily anyway. You can do it, but I'll check you out next time. Until then, bye for now, guys.